Good morning.
Good evening, says Graham. Good evening. Also, good morning. It's morning for us. What's up, y'all? Good morning, Brightside.
I think our chat's broken, but I'm fixing it.
Brightside says early. I'm hoping early was...
Brightside, who it is afternoon for.
Yeah. Didn't even hit 0? Yeah, Tony got back before the timer ended, so we made it. We made it, guys. Yeah. Hope y'all had good weekends. Did something for the first time in almost 11 years. I hope it wasn't like a necessary bodily function, bro.
Gotta be doing that more often.
Sent out a job application? What the fuck? LFQ, you good, bro? I hope you're just like looking for something better and that you're like not suddenly needing to get a job.
I kind of feel that LFQ. I'm like trying to find some new contract freelance work right now, and a lot of even having to like put a resume together and like do all of that stuff that you got to do normally. I haven't done it since 2016, 2017, something like that. It's been a really long time. I just kind of like, you know, it's a good thing about building up your network and stuff is you can kind of just move from place to place without really having to go through a lot of formal process, and that's definitely been my experience for a long time. So totally understand that stress.
Oh, API Docker image. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to fix the chat.
Yeah, I should turn off those alerts so I don't get those things.
Yeah, it made me realize I don't have my OBS open on my main computer.
I'm lucky. I have an aunt who works at a job center, so she offered to look through my stuff. That's awesome, man. So
for
just
the Americans, can you explain what a job center is? Because we don't have those.
Well, we kind of do, but those are like day labor, you know, like if you need to...
It's not a place you would want to get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you show up, there's a lot of homeless people and drug addicts and like convicts, and you're like...
They're putting you in a call center or...
It's just like a big waiting room.
Janitorial contract service. Like something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
It's not even a call center. It's like construction work or like just a really nasty job that is for one day that nobody wants.
Yeah, like we have recruiters here, but I don't know. Generally not as glorious as it sounds, in my opinion. I know some people who work with recruiters and it really goes well for them, but...
I have had many negative experiences with recruiters. I've had some positive ones, but definitely some negative ones.
I've definitely like engaged with them before. I've never done anything officially through a recruiter, but like my wife got her job now through a staffing agency, worked as a contractor at a company for 6 months, got hired on full time at that company and still works there. So
LFQ said it's basically a place you can get help finding the right work for you, or who helps people who have been going a long time without a job.
So it's the same thing we have, but it actually works. Ours doesn't work. It is a terrible thing that you don't want to have to use. Yeah.
He's saying his is like state funded, so
yeah. I mean, I think we have state funded ones, but again, not anything that you would want.
Yeah, they're not like good jobs. It's very temporary. Yeah. And the majority of them are private anyway. But that's cool, man. That's sweet that you have that resource. Brightside, you can say the word that starts with F. Hold on, you can say one word that starts with F.
Yeah, I don't know what word we're talking about, but yeah.
There's a couple words that start with F that you can't say, Brightside. I mean, you can say them, there's just consequences, you know?
Yeah, LFQ, I don't know if you said why you're doing that, and you don't have to, but it's hopefully it's exciting. Maybe you're just, you know, trying to find something new to do, and you know, grow your skills or something like that. That's always a good time. So
he was saying that his aunt works there, and his aunt was saying that she was just gonna like check over his stuff, make sure it was good. So it sounds like it's just he's just fishing, you know.
As I say, the advice is that if you don't get a new job every 3 years, that you're leaving money on the table. So
yep. I mean, that's definitely true in our country. It might not be the same in his country because, like, They pay.
Well, I mean, a lot of
lot
the
of
hiring and stuff that I've been involved in over time is like effectively international, and I think like while the rates, depending on where you live, are different, the rate of change over time has kind of stayed the same. I think.
Bright side, I don't know.
Fractal Grove's already 3. We didn't start streaming for almost a year before we formed the company, so I think we technically formed in 2022.
Yeah, something like that.
I got the paper around here somewhere.
I know that I had to do negotiations with Topgolf so that I could continue to work on Fractal Grove without legal liability.
The only reason I'm making a resume is literally so I can keep doing this, because if I don't get my bills paid, then like I have to go get a full-time job, and I can't be like streaming on Wednesday at 10 a.m. So that's why.
Don't worry, Brightside. We talk about a lot of this stuff. It's not like a secret where I'm like, oh shit, Tony's looking for a job. You know, like it's not like that.
And I know what the optics of that looks like if I don't like be forthright about it. So it's a lot easier just to be like, hey, I'm looking for some new work right now. Don't think anything weird about it. And it's like, cool, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, we don't have any secrets between us. So yeah.
All right, form the business June 24th, 2022. So
there you go.
We're finishing year 4 or we're going into year 4?
Finishing year 4.
22 into 23, 23 into 24, 24 into 25, 25 into 26 is year 4. Yeah, so we're in year 4 happening right now, about to go into year 5.
Yeah, let's go. My current employer wants my colleague and me to move on to another company. Oh, well, that sucks.
Oh, yeah, hell no. You double the drive, double the pay. That's what I'd be telling them. Although I've done the mental math before on like, would I drive an hour and a half each way for like $300,000 salary? And I don't think I would. I don't think it'd be worth it.
That's interesting. So your current employer wants to transfer you to another company. So like you wouldn't lose your job, but it's going to like fuck everything up for you.
And is it kind of like, we want you to, but it's not really an option type thing?
Long commutes killed me too, Graham.
Yeah, long commute in like 2018 broke me, and I said I'm never doing this again, and I quit my job, started my own company, have worked from home ever since.
It's crazy to me how many people just go through the commute. Like it's just weird. It's like a norm in the United States. It's just crazy.
3 doors away from where you work. See, that sounds amazing because you still then have a space that you can kind of like disconnect from work or life and vice versa. And I don't know, have like kind of a focused place. Like I do really feel fortunate that I have my office and stuff here, but like this is where I play video games. This is where I work. This is where I get really stressed. This is where I have a good time. This is where I spend like all my time. And I had to move my office out of my basement because I had just been like staring at the same walls for 5 years. So there's definitely some positives and negatives. And I've always thought that like having, you know, a place in your neighborhood or something that you could go to that was very convenient would be really cool.
I just don't like going to an office regardless of what it is.
We were talking this week about how like there's just like some stuff that happens when you have an office job that's like workaholics or something that like you'll just never be able to replicate in your life, which is a little sad, but I don't know. There's a lot of negatives to that situation too that come with the minor positives.
Yeah, I think most of my current friends circle is like people I've worked with. Now that I like consider social interaction and all that. Yep. Although I guess like, no, I interact with like a lot of, I mean, this is work. So yeah, I interact with a lot of you guys because of work. So,
and I mean, like a lot of my like pretty good friends now and like people that I talk to on a daily basis are because of what we do. And you know, the lines get a little blurry, which can be dangerous. You just gotta stay on top of that stuff. But I don't know, at a point it's just like a bunch of people who like hanging out together, doing a bunch of cool shit that they like doing together. Like what more could you ask for?
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, my drive is 20 minutes right now, but I'm not for being on the road for an hour a day for work. Exactly. Because that's an hour one way. So you're losing like at least
an hour one way is insane.
Yeah.
So much more wear and tear on your car, so much more gas, so much more wasted time.
Just the 2 hours a day, 5 days a week is crazy.
Yep.
I assume you do normal, like, you know, Monday through Friday LFQ. You could have some wacky European schedule. I know the French like don't work more than 32 hours a week. Most jobs. I know that's not universal across the board. Yeah, exactly, Graham. That's what we're trying to do with Fractal Grove. That's like kind of been the main thing, is like we want to work with people who are excited to work on the same things. So yeah, like that's the whole idea. It's not, you know, I've said it before, we're not trying to be like, we're a family here. That's not it at all. If, you know, we're working on something and someone has worked with us for a couple of years and they're like, I'm not really feeling this next project, it's probably not a good idea to force them into it. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't want to be in that position.
Yeah. It's kind of like, we're all here working on this stuff and nobody's getting paid realistically, and we're going to be doing it anyways. And if there's other people in the same boat that, you know, also want to be doing that, and, you know, maybe we can help each other out and build a community and network and blah, 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 blah. Like, that seems like a good idea to me. And, you know, that was basically the conversation that we had when we started doing this.
Yep. And that's the whole, I mean, we're doing it. Like, Sushi Fu and Turning Cog are going to help with Dread. So that's really cool. Turning Cog's been working on some stuff for us. And it's awesome. Company removed the electrical workshop, but kept my colleague and me to maintain the electrical documentation and knowledge base. Now they want us to go to the same company that got the workshop deal, and they removed the workshop a year ago. Interesting. Yeah, I'm like really curious how that works, because I think here, if you were in that position, dude, they would have just fired you a year ago. Like, you would have just been fired, and that's it. Done. Got to go find another job. So I wonder if you guys have like some kind of law that's like they can't just do that. A lot of places, most of my professional life, I've lived in places that are referred to as at will, which means it's a protection for the employee. So you're not like obligated to do a task or like continue to work for a place simply because they pay you. But that has turned into protection for the employer, where they can just get rid of people whenever they want for no justifiable cause. They could just be like, nah, you're gone. It's at will. And
yeah,
that's like the legalese for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because in other states that don't have that, there's like kind of some protections around a company just like basically going like,
California,
we're going to fire you because we don't want to pay you anymore for any reason that we want. Like in Colorado, a lot of the time it will just be like, we're on hard times, we can't afford to pay you anymore, we have to let you go, and because of it, Colorado, like, end of conversation. Basically, we're sorry, we'll help you out if we can. There's some other states where you can't do that. Like, as an employer, you're kind of on the hook to pay that person because you said you would, even if you can't, which as a business owner is probably not a fun place to be in.
Yeah.
And maybe not something that is necessarily like a positive for being a business owner there, but as an employee, you have a little bit more protection over just like kind of being dropped on your ass randomly. But again, there's going to be kind of like a double-sided thing here where like employees will take advantage of that and employers will kind of be left hold the bag, and that's kind of an unfortunate situation too. So like, I don't know, neither one is a great solution for both sides, but to Vince's point, like that's how Colorado works, and that's kind of how our lives have always been.
Yeah, California is different. California has some pretty like robust laws, but they cause problems in both directions, which is, it's just the way it works.
We have one here where if you terminate somebody and they have paid vacation time on the books that they haven't used, you have to pay them out. That's the law. And so again, as an employer, I think this is actually in place to kind of balance out the at will thing, because it's kind of like, if you want to just fire that person randomly out of nowhere, you have to pay them out all of their vacation that they haven't used when you let them go. And it's basically like, if they have 5 vacation days, that's 40 hours that you have to pay them the hourly rate at their salary, and you just have to like give it to them all at once, and you can't not employ them anymore until you do that. And so like, that's all part of the equation. I want to say in California, where you're protected against that happening to you, they don't have to pay out the vacation. So it's like you get one or the other or something like that.
It's very complicated and it varies by state, which is,
but just it's things to know. Like, as you start running a business, like you really need to be aware of these things, because you might like, things are going well and you've never had to go through any of these things before, and you like start hiring people, it's going awesome, and then like one day you're like, fuck, we gotta let a person go, or we're like literally gonna go out of business. I'm gonna have to like mortgage my house or something. And all of a sudden then you're like, oh, but to let this person go, we have to pay them $15,000 or something like that. Like, we're fucked. What are we gonna do? Like, you don't want to be in that situation. You want to make sure that you know that that's coming, if it's happening, and just, everybody, whether you're an employee or an employer, know your rights, know your laws, know the things that you need to be doing, need to be aware of, because you don't want to find out when it's too late. That's for sure. And I'll say the most annoying thing ever, which is that we have AI now, and it is really good at explaining really basic rules and laws and stuff like that to you, and do research and stuff at your own discretion. But like, I feel like there's fewer excuses now than there ever was for like, oh, I didn't know that, or I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Also, ignorance of the law is not a defense. It just
it's true. Work. Like they will just say sorry. Like.
LFQ says there's not a law like that by itself. It's more we work with specialized components that the company owns and produces. So you can't just pluck someone else to do our job. Oh, okay. So they're like, hey, we can't keep you, but here's a place you could go, and like they already want to take you. So it's like a super strong referral, and it's that's cool, man.
Sounds like you're kind of specialized though, so maybe you'll be all right.
What's up, Attack the Dawn? How you doing? Thanks for chatting. We saw your follow come through last week, so appreciate it.
We did. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm guessing you
Vince remembers really crazy stuff like that I would never remember. So
yeah, I'm guessing you followed us because of a shout out, or maybe not. 6 days ago. Yeah, that would have been on like Monday, or you like saw one of our YouTube videos or something. It'd be cool to know how you found out about us. It's helpful for us, so appreciate you. Thanks for being here. We're talking about employment and stuff this morning, just randomly. It's not like a assigned topic. You were in Cog stream. Nice. Has Cog told you that he's working on Dread? He's helping us with some stuff, because that's pretty exciting. That's fun. Adder says California got loopholes, but they do have to pay out PTO and sick days. Only time I've been laid off in the games industry was in California in 2015. They jumped through financial hoops to rug pull us with next day terminations. They did have to give us benefits for 2 months though, and that was 11 years ago. Yeah. Don be streaming our Mothman Cozy Horror UE dev game or game dev. Good stuff. All right, sick. Well, here, let's give you a fucking mutual, dude. There we go. Bam, there's your follow. We got you, Don. I was watching you make the living room for the project. Nice, thank you. That's great. Yeah, it's we can show you a little more of like what it'll look like, as we get into. We usually talk about games industry stuff and just making games and the state of things and all of that. We usually start with that, and then we move into game dev. So there's not a whole hell of a lot to really get into today with the games industry. Obviously, like Highguard is a big talking point everywhere right now.
Attack the Dawn's game real quick while we were talking about it.
Yeah. Sorry, we're showing your stuff. He showed a Vivarium clip that he's using as reference. Nice. Yeah, that's perfect. That was creative direction things. Gave him that clip. Yeah. I watched Vivarium back in October. For that stuff, inspiration, reference material, all of that. Tony, you still got that? What's the LI hitch?
Level instance.
Yeah.
I was picking Adder's brain yesterday about some fun stuff I got going on. I actually haven't fixed the problem that I told you about yet, where the instances just don't load when I play standalone, so I don't have any hitching, but I got to figure out why that is first. But yeah, I can at least show you what I'm talking about here.
Oh, so there's the scene that he was working on, Don, if you saw that, with the TV, and it's kind of like out of focus in the background. That scene was just a mock-up that I did. It's like literally just a couch and a TV.
All right, so it'll hitch when this light thing disappears if you watch the graph. Real fucking bad, and that's from this loading in here.
What?
And so again, it's like static meshes. There's a couple blueprints that are like doors that can have a pivot point that can swing that like definitely don't have pretty much any logic in them. And I don't know. Yeah.
So Don, I'm going to throw a bunch of words at you that hopefully describe the game in a way that you'll understand. Dread is a liminal space horror and psychological horror walking sim game. So player verbs are very limited. You'll find some things you can click on and pick up and read, but otherwise you're just walking. And there's spatial puzzles, I guess, where you're trying to think about like where you are and where you need to go and stuff like that. Narrative heavily inspired by King in Yellow and those cognitive horror trap or whatever they call it. I think they call it like cognito horror, which I don't like. But yeah, the idea, like that understanding a concept is dangerous, that kind of thing.
So yeah, Adder, so we're using like the old level streaming system here. So we have this main level, and then as stuff happens, like initially here's the neighborhood, and then the neighborhood loads like this one, which is how you transition into the woods. And then, you know, we're just effectively flipping these on and off, but they all start unloaded, and then a lot of them have effectively just a level blueprint with an overlap trigger that when it gets overlapped, it does this like load level stream async thing that I was showing you yesterday that we implemented from C++. That's kind of it, like loading and unloading this way. And this works good a lot of the time. It's specifically those houses that seem like heavier than they should be, I guess. Like some of our levels are like pretty big and expansive and have probably like a similar amount of stuff in them, and they don't hitch almost at all. And then like any of these houses, and you see we have a lot of variants of them and stuff, they all hitch pretty hard. And so I don't know, I have some ideas of things I could try, but I need to look at the thing you sent me yesterday and kind of try to determine why it's hitching before I start making changes or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree with that, Adder. Yeah, the hitch is kind of crazy. We shouldn't see a hitch just from loading those small amounts of things.
Map of the DL switch. We usually hide the DL switch behind transition scenes. Yeah, I mean, it's more like, I don't know. I can think of ways where when I did the neighborhood stuff, it would kind of hitch because when you would hit each of the transition zones, it would have to like load and unload like 100 houses. And so the two changes that I made to fix that are like preloading the instance static meshes so that I can move them in and out instead of loading them in and out, and also doing it async and not all at once, basically, and let it just kind of like crunch through a queue as fast as it can. And that helped a lot. And so there's probably some ways that I could do that with like the level instances, or since we have all of these different variants of the house, like maybe we go to some system where we find all of the common parts and just kind of like load and unload the add-ons as needed or something. I don't know. I have ideas, but I need to just like spend some time profiling, figure out what the problem actually is, and kind of work backwards from there. So.
Don was asking, is it Lovecraftian horror? So The King in Yellow is based on Chambers' work called The King in Yellow. And that is, I want to say he's a contemporary of Lovecraft, or like near contemporary. I think Lovecraft wrote his stuff after Chambers did, but both of them were inspired by, or I should say The King in Yellow was inspired by Ambrose Bierce in like the late 1800s. So then, Chambers wrote The King in Yellow, and I think it's an anthology. There's a bunch of different stories based on the idea of The King in Yellow, which is a play that doesn't exist. And if you read the play, like it's not performed, it's outlawed. And if you read the play, like you go insane, or you gain dangerous knowledge, and nobody talks about it because it's outlawed. And it's like this, occult secret that this play exists, and it's accepted that, in this imaginary place, that if anyone is to read Act 2 or farther, they're like dangerous and absolutely insane because they've gained some knowledge that is that destroys your mind, shit like that. But yeah, so that's the King in Yellow. The most recent pop culture reference that used the King in Yellow is probably True Detective season 1. So if you recall, or if you've seen that, and they talk about Carcosa a lot, like when they're following the cult, and all these people would be like, "Oh, you know about Carcosa? You've seen Carcosa? Blah blah blah." That's all directly referencing the King in Yellow.
I had like
Syntax
2
Frost.
traces in here yesterday.
How you doing, Syntax? Thanks for coming through. Put camera where it hitches and press Control Shift.
Yeah, I can't do that because of the way that it is. But.
Comma. Yeah, absolutely. Attack the Dawn.
I don't know what these traces are. Just make a new one real quick.
Let me see if I can find. So if you want to learn, like, if you want to get like a pretty competent synopsis of the King in Yellow, at least 3 of the stories out of the 5 in the anthology, there's a YouTuber called Wendigoon that did a good breakdown of it. I have issues with Wendigoon in this video and how he pronounces things and some of the conclusions he draws, because it's like he did a really good job making the video, but I don't think he did a great job of doing enough research. It almost seems like he just read a couple wiki pages. But anyway, suffice it to say, this is a pretty solid description of what the King in Yellow is. All right, let me grab.
Yeah, and I know I'm like tracing an editor here, which is incorrect, but like I have bugs outside of the editor right now for some reason, where the things that are hitching aren't even loading, so I got to get that figured out. But this is just kind of what it looks like initially. Like look at this gap right here. This is what we're talking about. Pretty
yeah.
heavy.
Sorry. Yeah, exactly, Don. Bloodborne stuff is based directly off of Chambers and Lovecraft. So yep. That's what the whole is it amygdala? Is that what they're called?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where the insight and the amygdalas and all that stuff comes from. I mean, the fungal monsters and everything are like very Lovecraftian.
Yeah, so this shit is insane. I don't exactly know why yet. Adder sent me a thing that had some good advice about like what to look for, but it's probably like, you know, all these guys up in here or something. So to be fair, like these things that we're loading right now are levels. I don't think they have almost any instancing in them. I don't think they're designed with a lot of like repeating meshes that will automatically be instanced by the engine. It might just be not set up very well, and that just needs to be fixed or something. But you know, we could turn them into packed level actors. That might help. I'm not positive though. I gotta fiddle with it a little more. We'll get it figured out. But that's kind of like one of my bigger things that I need to get nailed down right now.
Good morning, Lucian. Glad to be your favorite devs, bro. You're you and everyone else. You're our favorite community. Yeah, I don't know anything about this trace, so if you guys are like, holy shit, that looks crazy, I believe you.
Yeah, no, it's just like the fact that like you can see the game running pretty well, and then all of a sudden you just hit this like Grand Canyon where everything just stops for a solid, I don't know, full half second. Like
that's the length of the hitch. It's definitely that then.
Yep. So and it's like it's not the thing that we're loading in and of itself, because it runs okay when it's loaded. Like as soon as it's in, frame rate is stable, it's high. It doesn't really drop down lower than it was before the thing was loaded. It's just bringing it in that is making everything really upset, and then it settles out. And so I got to figure out what it is that's doing that. And we probably need to preload more things or something. I really wish there was a way to just say like, load it as slow as you need to so that it doesn't hitch. And, you know, we'll put it far enough away that it should be there by the time it needs to or something. But that isn't really a button. So.
Adder, congratulations on first. Adder was also saying that you should totally be fine with a bunch of unique assets, Tony. We have a full-blown game world, unloading, loading with world partition. there's definitely problem child in the situation. So he's thinking that there's like something you can point at and be like, that's the thing. That's
no, and I very much agree that it's like, to me, it feels like there's probably some thing in these houses that's like super unoptimized or something that I just haven't found yet, and I don't know. So I'll definitely
Adder says get it
figured out.
Adder says get it working in build first and then do a profile.
That is my plan, because I did not even know that it wasn't working in build until I started talking to Adder about this yesterday. So
Graham, first is just a game. So we stream the same time and the same days, and we've been doing it for almost 3 years now. So people know when to show up, and so people often show up before stream and type like first in chat. So that they've been doing it for a while, and that just kind of became a game. So Tony integrated that into.
And then they would fight over like who actually got it and whether it was valid if we weren't live or anything. So we just said we're going to build a system that will make the judgment for you guys, and it's going to be arbitrary on purpose. So nobody knows when I start it, and I can change what the trigger word is. It doesn't have to be first.
Oh shit, Tony, you're playing Hyperskate, dude. Let's go.
It's interesting that it does that.
Yeah, why is it?
Oh, I think it's because Eric put our Hyperskate tag in there so he could do Steam things.
Oh, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was just going to show you. So if I hit a new game here, there's no house. I don't know why.
What the fuck?
So this is like a package build or standalone or whatever. So, and like this one isn't here either.
Exactly, Adder. Bungie with Marathon installing D2.
Look how fucking smooth this shit is, though. I hit these transitions. Like, there's maybe just the tiniest little hitch right now, but like, it runs good.
I don't know what it is without having hands-on, but I'd start with getting the level instances working and build. Yeah, good call. One problem with world partition hitches and editors loading in all of the assets to world outliner. Once outliner is the equation in standalone, I get much less hit, or out of the equation in standalone. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be something like that, because as you'll see in these things that I was showing you here in these level blueprints, let me find a good one here. I think this one has some. So we're doing this like load stream level by async, which is a C++ thing that we expose to blueprints. But then we also have a thing where we gotta find the right thing. It's like this level marker thing, spawn marker. So in here, I made this thing for us laying out the levels, but it has this function in it. Where's the function? Oh, here, custom event. So this is another C++ thing that I believe Eric exposed for us, but it lets you update the transform of a streaming level in the editor, which, like, the normal update level transform is a runtime only thing. I think that was like part of the problem that we were having. So this is like a call in editor button that I made on these things so that, long story short, basically the neighborhood here that we have is kind of procedural. So the end of it can be in a different spot. And most of the stuff that happens after it is a little less procedural, but it's kind of like the end of one thing has to hook up to the beginning of another thing. And to be able to view it in the editor with like the procedural generation and stuff, I made that system on that blueprint that I was just showing you so that you can kind of just like select it in the outliner and press that button and it'll move the level into the place that it's supposed to be. So you can just kind of visualize the layout the same way that you would during runtime when it's laying everything out automatically for you. But I kind of have a feeling that my issue has something to do with the differentiation between like this and the other thing or something like that, but I'm not totally sure right now.
Yeah, it seems like a couple
people system that we decided to use.
Yeah, it seems like a couple of people agree that as soon as you can fix what's happening in standalone with not like loading everything correctly, they think that you're potentially just going to fix the hitch.
Yes.
Let's see. Syntax for us was asking if it was world partitioned. I think we answered that question since you asked it.
Yeah, no world partition in this one. We have messed with world partition a lot in other projects, and this one was supposed to be quick and easy. So decided that would be the wrong move, and then we ended up kind of writing our own level streaming thing anyway. But okay.
Also, good and bad news. Next week, the What is Marathon Like conversation is going to end because it comes out on the 5th. The bad news is that sorry, it's February. It is not next week. It's next week in 1 month. Yeah, in March. So at any rate, when that happens, we will have an entirely different conversation about whether or not Marathon is a good game, and that will keep going over and over again. So we're going to hit the whole cycle of Marathon conversations again pretty soon. There's going to be an open, I guess, like preview, because it's not a play test, but they're going to do like a preview the weekend before launch, so everyone can hop in and play it and check it out.
I decided I want to go on Polymarket and see if they have bets on if Marathon is going to perform well, but I don't actually see any right now.
What were you looking at to see if Marathon would perform well?
There's that website Polymarket where you can like bet if the dude is going to say like the word in the State of the Union 5 times or whatever. I wanted to see if there was like will Marathon bomb or whatever, but I don't see it. No.
They probably have it on the other one. It's like Kashi or something, which I know is like a wheat cereal, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my god, you can bet on how many times Elon Musk will tweet between January 23rd and January 30th, and there's $11 million in the pool.
Kalshi, there we go. See, I was close, Brightside. I just said
I haven't heard of that
the like health cereal. Kalshi was the one that everyone was using to bet on the election and shit.
Okay, let's see if they got Marathon on here.
I bet they do.
You can bet on who's going to win the New York Marathon. No, I'm not really seeing anything. Sure, Bungie.
Yeah, gambling is bad, Adder. Like, guys, I'm not trying to get a sports book sponsorship or anything, but
no.
Yeah, that shit is bad. It's actually a problem. It's really crazy. I don't know how we got here, but there was a reason why sports betting was like outlawed in certain places, and then we got to like the online world, and they're like, well, I guess technically it's a legal loophole, so now you can just use that from anywhere. Even though it's illegal in your state, you can still use it.
When I started writing code in 2016, as soon as I got out of boot camp, one of my friends approached me and was like, hey, we should make a fantasy football app. And I'm not a sports guy, but I was just like, sounds like a fun coding thing to do. I'm in. And we did that for like 2 years, and there was a lot of loopholes that we had to jump through to effectively prove that like we weren't really doing betting.
Right.
There was just kind of like you paid an entry fee, and then it was like fantasy football where whoever won all the money. But and then like the year that we stopped doing it, we ran it for 2 years, and it was really hard, and then we stopped. And then like the next year they dropped all the regulations. It was just like, do whatever you want. It's crazy.
The weirdest thing about the sports betting stuff, and LFQ, I appreciate that you said looking at it from the outside, but you're not wrong. It is insane. It's completely fucking insane. Gotten way out of control. I mean, there was just a huge scandal with the NBA, and like 38 former players and like staffers from NBA teams were found like colluding with organized crime, the Italian mob in like the Northeast, to fix sports bets, which is fucking crazy. That's just in the NBA.
Yep.
So if they're doing it in the NBA, they're probably doing it in every single sport that exists.
Oh, you can go on fucking DraftKings and bet on like 12-year-olds playing soccer in Ecuador or something like that. And the theory is that it's like heavily used for money laundering, because like you just tell the 12-year-olds like, your team loses, your team wins. We're going to bet $2 million on this and funnel it right on through the system legit.
The most recent UFC, Dana dropped one of the cards because there was one dude, and I guess they're like watchdog organization that was looking at sports betting around certain events was like, hey, you got some really fucked up numbers for this one card. And Dana was like, nope, you're done, dude. Not doing this fight.
So I think somebody was like a pro or something.
Yeah, one of the guys was like making comments about betting on him and what you should do and what he would do and how much he was willing to put on himself. And it was changing the... So I don't gamble. I don't like it at all, but I know that there's like underdog and favorite, and it was influencing his like underdog and favorite and like the swings for payouts and shit because of the stuff he was saying and the stuff other people were saying about him. So he was like, no, we're killing the card. Like, you're not going to fight, which is crazy because Dana White lost a lot of money killing that card. So like, if you think about it, you know, why would he do that? Probably because he had pretty strong evidence that something fucked up was happening. And he was like, we're not doing this. Not in my league. What's up, Omni? It is definitely insane. It's pretty rough. You're dropping 30K on some random dude who's going to tweet. Yeah, exactly, Adder. It's, I've told you guys this before, but if you want to know more about the psychology of addiction, there was a really good book written by Adam Alter that I enjoyed. Behavioral clinical psychologist, studied addictions, you know, like specialized in addiction. Wrote a book called Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology. And he just talks about that. And he's like, it's not a people have addictive personalities thing. There's not like an addiction gene. But if you do certain things, it creates a pattern of like hormone release in your brain that leads to behaviors that coincide with mental illness and a bunch of other shit. And he goes through like Gmail fucking does it. You know, Fitbit is obvious, but people think it's healthy and good for them, despite like a chronic injury rate that occurs with people using Fitbit because they're like, I got to keep running. I can't break my streak. And it's like, no, dude, you got to rest. You're going to sustain permanent injury if you don't rest. But they won't do it because the Fitbit has them so motivated to sustain personal injury. Like it's really crazy. So if you guys want to learn more about that, that's a really good book. I liked it. I audiobooked it. Yo, what's up, Our Drong?
And the way you need to be thinking about it though is like, if you really like doing the Fitbit every day and making your numbers high and being active and stuff, like if you go too hard, you won't be able to do that. So you have to like balance it. And it's kind of oxymoronic almost because of what you just said about how it's kind of like trying to drive you to like effectively go until you injure yourself. But it's like, you need to change your mindset somehow. And they're not doing any favors for anybody and getting them that way, but that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly, Brightside. You see an obvious problem with betting on Elon tweeting when you realize Elon can literally just tweet to influence the bet. He can put his own money in and just tweet and like win the fucking bet.
He tried so hard to make Dogecoin worth something so many times and it never worked.
Yeah, the sports betting sting is crazy. It's only going to get worse, Adder. You know it. You know that the reason they announced the NBA one was because everyone was fucking locked in and that case was solid. And then they were like, public. And then they just arrested a bunch of people. There's a reason why everything has gone up in price except the vices. Yep. Yeah, we're in the entertainment age, guys. We were in the information age. Now we're in the entertainment age. We're being inundated with like... It's crazy that I'm saying this because we make entertainment. We make entertainment software. But like, we're in that time where the distraction is king. We're bred in circuses, you know? It's just the way it works. So which Unreal Engine checkbox do I need to turn that off? To turn off sports betting? Fuck, dude, I don't even know. I wish there was a checkbox. Omni says, I watched a YouTube video that talks about people who never finish things and how they receive a huge dopamine hit when they start a new thing that severely drops off after the newness wears off. Brain chemicals and how they affect our mood, interests, some crazy science. Yeah. That's the thing when you think about what gambling does to the brain. Gambling is leveraging like psychological mechanisms that we all have because we evolved that way as animals, and it uses that against you. It's just exploiting that part of your brain. So that's why people like to gamble. I fucking hate gambling. I really do. You know, Adder was saying, I'm all for some blackjack or whatever on a Vegas trip. I'm not, dude. I go to Vegas. Like last time I went to Vegas, I didn't want to gamble at all. And my, you know, it was bachelor party trip. And one of my, groomsmen was like, dude, you gotta gamble. We're in Vegas. And so he's like, here's $100. Just go play blackjack. It was gone in like 30, 40 minutes, but I got some free drinks. I did not care. It was just done. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm not enjoying it in any way. It's not satisfying. I think I won maybe 1 or 2 hands. It just, I didn't care. It was so weird. Brightside says, in high school, I could get an ounce for $200. Now I can go to the dispensary and it's $60. What was that about?
I'm trying to think of the best deal I've seen, and I think we had buy one get 1 ounce for $40 one time that I saw. I was like, holy shit. I don't buy flower, but like I was like, damn, that's a really good deal.
Adder, I knew the drinks were free, so you better believe I ordered like 3 at the same time and fucking slammed 2 and just, you know, kept it riding from then on, because I was like, I remember talking to my groomsmen. I was like, bro, let's get a round because we're fucking playing right now. And they were like, what do you mean? I don't want to pay for that. It's going to be expensive. I was like, drinks are free when you're gambling, you idiot. Just bring them over. And then, of course, they were. And I was like, yeah, we're good. And I was like, let's get some ashtrays too. We're all going to start smoking cigarettes for no reason. It was great, though. I loved smoking indoors.
The free drink sounds awesome until you do the math and you're like, I spent like literally $200 since she like came to take my order and then brought my drink back, and she will take her time before she comes back around again.
They're very slow with getting you drinks, and that's all on purpose.
My sister was a waitress in Blackhawk for like 2 or 3 years, and she told me, she's like, oh yeah, it's completely on purpose. But then I would go to her casino and I just walk up to her and she'd be like, just grab one off the tray, it's fine.
Hell yeah. Yeah, but can it beat the dopamine you get from your code working the first time? It's literally the same dopamine, my drunk. It is. It's the same mechanism. That sense of discovery and accomplishment you have for like doing a thing that you've been trying to do, it's the same reward system as like, I'm gonna try to win money on this one random chance event. And then when you win, you're like, I did something. You didn't do anything. You did nothing. So that's the worst part, is that if you consider that another evolutionary survival mechanism is being lazy, and I don't mean that derogatorily. If you consider like cats, right? Cats sleep like the majority of their lives. That's to conserve resources. They're basically chilling until they need to eat. And then they kill something and use a bunch of energy, and then they rest. So their
metabolism is like insanely high, right? They require a ton of energy just to like walk around.
Yeah. So, and that's why they're lazy. That's why they're sleeping all the time, is because they're conserving energy. We, being mammals, likely, I'm not saying this factually because I don't have anything to support it, but we likely have a similar mechanism where we want to conserve energy. So we are lazy. So we will just behaviorally take shortcuts to do things in the most, simple way possible. So if you consider that, the laziness there is the same. That's why it allows you to be like, well, I didn't do anything, but I still feel good after, winning a bet when I gamble. So it's really weird. Adam Alter gets into a lot of it. But he talks about in, like a Fitbit example, he's seeing the exact psychological mechanisms and behaviors in someone who's using Fitbit, religiously for like, a year or two, when they've developed the habit and the habit is locked in, which I think it takes like 3 months or something like that for a habit to like really solidify. When that habit gets locked in, the behavioral patterns and the decision making and the like brain chemistry that person has around Fitbit is the same as someone who has like a heroin addiction or exhibits like manic bipolar behavior, where they're taking huge risk to sustain a habit, right? Like it's the same shit, which is scary. This is the core like premise of the book, is that it's not our fault that we can get addicted to something like a Fitbit or checking our phones, because there's an army. There's like 1,000 people per app that are just focused on making sure that your psychology is working against you so that you use this thing. And you're just one person. So how could you possibly win? The only way is to understand these mechanisms and see when it's happening. That's one of the reasons my phone is always on like do not disturb. Always. You don't need it. Like I remember a time before cell phones. I was alive then. You don't need that shit. You just call someone and leave them a voicemail, and you might get a call back the next day. Who knows? Totally fine. My dad pointed to a dude across the way that was obliterated and blowing all his cash and said, "That's why drinks are free." Yeah, exactly, Adder. Vibe coding dopamine off the charts. I'm so smart. Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's why people like vibe coding, because they're not doing anything, but they're getting all the satisfaction of doing a thing.
The research shows if you're already a technical person who knows how to do things, that AI actually makes you smarter. But if you are not, it actually makes you dumber. There's like a point in the middle that you're going to fall on either side.
Yep.
So I would imagine most of the people here are going to fall on the it makes you smarter side, but dumb people think it makes them smarter and it makes them dumber. So that's the ironic part, I think.
The best consideration is the 20-something college student trying to use ChatGPT to pass an exam when they could have just
Learned.
been in class and paid attention and passed the exam because they fucking were in school. And that's the whole point of being in school. Like, I don't understand the goal of like, I'm just going to use chat to help me pass my exam. Like, why would you do that? That's the whole point of going to school.
And there's like a whole other side of it, which is like, I have the greatest tool ever to like legitimately learn things and like become better and do all of this stuff. And yeah, some people are just like, oh, it just makes it so I don't have to do any of that. It's like, huh, all right.
My drug says, what is the satisfaction for vibe coding you speak of? I get none of that. I think you're too smart, bro. That's the problem. You recognize how stupid the AI agents are, and you're like, man, this thing is wasting my fucking time, and I just have to babysit it, and it sucks. I mean, like, Tony loves to experiment with all this technology, so he's been deep in there for a while and tried a bunch of different models, you know, had varying successes. You're Gemini pilled now, right?
I
Somewhat?
don't know. Yeah, this Claudebot thing, which I could rant about for a while if anybody's interested, has made me look into how a lot of things are now and how it's all working and stuff. Claude is definitely still the best, hands down by far. I think for your general person, though, it's kind of a toss-up between Gemini and Claude, and maybe even ChatGPT. I don't really use ChatGPT, so I can't really speak to it, but I think Claude is better on the whole at like writing in code, and Gemini is a better bang for your buck if you just need like kind of like something like ChatGPT that's good, that you can talk to, that can generate images, that is connected to Google Drive and Word and all of that stuff. Like, that's pretty convenient. So yeah, but
Yes, ChatGPT is dumb as fuck. My exposure to it is I just use generative, image AI stuff, so Midjourney specifically. And when I say that, it's not like, I know some of you are going to gasp and pearl clutch if you're newer around here to be like, game dev is using generative AI. Yeah, but not to ship assets.
There's not a single asset in the game that uses it. So
yeah, it's for concepting because it's really, really, really fast. I can just talk to Midjourney and for an hour and get like 35 plus. It's really limited by how much, what my inspiration is and like what I want to tell it to try to make me. But I can get ample amounts of concept images and like really get the point across for like what I'm imagining and like what I want a thing to be. Whereas if I commissioned a concept artist to do these things, we might have some back and forth. The amount of time is significant before I get to like, this is it. This is the thing that I'm looking to try to, share an idea with the rest of the team. So
I recommend if you don't really use AI right now and you're not really sure where to start, you don't know if you'll like it or blah, blah, blah. Gemini.google.com. If you have a Gmail account, you have access to this. You don't have to pay anything. This is pretty good. This is probably good enough for a lot of people. If you're starting to get deeper, you want something smarter, you want something more capable, go to Claude. You'll be set. And hit me up on Discord. I can talk to you about this forever, and I'll give you, the best advice I have at least. But this is a great place to start. The Nano Banana thing here, create image, works on par with Midjourney. I think Midjourney is still probably the best if you like really want to do image generation for some reason. But I make silly stuff with this all the time. Like I made the King Supers app say long supers. I saw it in the list here. I thought that one was funny.
Tony, my drawing was trying to tell us to use a different one, but we don't allow links, so it got eaten, which is really funny.
What do we got? Use blank. aistudio.google.com. Okay, good to know. I'm just kind of getting into the Gemini side of things. I'm definitely usually in Claude. So Interesting. I'll take a look at this.
I wanted to read what Dawn said. I'm in Vegas, and at one point there was a lot of talk about introducing skill-based slot machines, basically video games. Never really saw anything like that transpire, probably because the core gaming or gambling demographic. A lot of older players just aren't into that kind of experience. I think they may have incorporated some, but it's not taken off yet to my knowledge. I can see that appeal to newer generations at some point. I mean, I'd definitely be interested in trying a skill-based game, but if the skill-based slot machines are like timing when the wheel stops,
Is that basically
I'm not into that.
Pachinko? It's kind of skill-based slot machine a little bit. Like,
yeah, but Pachinko is still slot machine.
It's Plinko. Yeah, I guess you have no control over where it's going. But
yeah. And I only know this from, being told when I was in Japan, do not go to the Pachinko parlors because they're run by organized crime and it's illegal. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you have to purchase the little steel balls from this store, and then you take them over to the Pachinko parlor, and then you take the steel balls and you sell them at a different store. That's like the legal loophole they have.
Yep.
Yeah. What's up, Acid Hex? Yo, Acid Hex, resident gambling aficionado, the day trader. For noobs, I think Gemini will be less overwhelming, but this looks awesome. Hell yeah, Tony.
To add skill-based slot machines were a big internal initiative at Konami for a minute, and they're big-time hiring game devs for it in 2020. Well, I didn't realize you were going to say 2020 because I know, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 got a pachinko machine that was... It had lore in it that was, like, game relevant, that the only way you could experience it was to, like, go to a casino in Japan and play pachinko and, like, see the cutscenes that would happen if you paid enough money or something. And, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to go find one when I was in Tokyo, and I went in every pachinko parlor that I saw, and I never saw one. But
yeah, I thought it was crazy how, like, the group I was with, the tour guide was like, do not go in there. You can get in a lot of trouble. Do not go into the pachinko parlors. Regardless of how fun and interesting it looks, don't go in there.
I thought it looked fun, and then we went in, and I just kind of, like, watched some people play for a couple
minutes.
Dude. I was like, it doesn't look that interesting. It's just like put a ball in the slot, and
it's literally like watching people play slot machines.
It's not that much more interesting than a slot machine. Like, it's just a little bit, but like just so.
They're just chain smoking and like grabbing a fistful of like ball bearings and dropping them into the top of the machine over and over again. That's it. Cool. It looks fun. It's a lot more like compelling than slot machines to me. But it's also not something I'm familiar with, I thought the arcades were just way cooler. I watched a dude play Initial D, and he was just crushing it. And he didn't realize I was watching him until he like finished his race, and he like leans back, and I was like, "Very good, man, nice." And he got like super embarrassed. He's like, "Thank you so much." I was like, "Nah, you're good, man. That was sick." Like, dude just like ripped a nasty time trial on the like little memory card fucking Initial D game.
Yeah, going to the arcades in Akihabara and seeing people like playing the rhythm games and stuff like that was fucking cool. Like, my god.
Yeah, it was very cool. Yeah, Acid, do you have anything else to add to the gambling conversation? The gambler. Let's see, where was I? We got nothing in YouTube chat. All right, we don't have AAA battery today. He's not over there.
My favorite part of gambling is playing craps and being kind of drunk, and every time they roll the dice, yelling no whammies.
Craps is great. I
had a friend, he'd just get really drunk, and just every time they throw, it'd be like, no whammies, no whammies. And so we just always yell that now. Always makes me laugh.
Acid says blackjack is the best skill-based slot. No. No, dude, you're crazy. He's going to start talking to me about the numbers and how you can actually like win.
I went to a bachelor party one time, and we got in the hotel room, and this guy's like, yo, I'm going to go play some blackjack until you guys are ready. Just meet me down in the casino. And that was like 5 p.m. And he stayed at the same table until like 3 a.m. and then went to bed. And never came and joined us to do any bachelor party things. And we're like, did you win any money? He's like, no, I'm down $6,000. We're like, bro, what were you doing? I've been on some heaters, bro. I love that shit. Bro, you should get on Kick.
Yeah, dude. No, don't do that. Acid will make some mistakes. Don't get on Kick. That's not a thing you should look at ever. My drunk says I'm going to work on /live categories soon. Shh. Oh, I said that out loud. Sorry, bro. Yeah, dude. That's awesome. Have fun. Yeah, I won't tell anyone either, man. This is definitely not going out on the internet. Yo, we got YouTube represent from LFQ8821. I wonder who that is. The goat over there. Okay, you guys want to talk about High Guard? We could probably talk about that a little bit. So, if you guys are unfamiliar, High Guard was the game that Jeff Keighley was teasing all Game Awards and then dropped the trailer for, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand what's happening. Well, High Guard came out yesterday. Yesterday or Monday? One of the two.
I think it was Monday. Yeah. Which is also a weird day to drop a game. But.
So people are playing it now. It's free to play. It's kind of a mashup of like Fortnite, Overwatch. Yeah, it's a mashup of like the greatest hits for, you know, AAA FPS for the last, 5 to 10 years.
Apparently the review API is pulling in wrong because it should not be positive in the corner there.
It's definitely not positive. So I wanna say this. A lot of people played it. I think their peak was like 100K players. They would have never got that if it wasn't free to play. So smart that they did that. Also smart that they were like silent this whole time because they were getting a lot of negative press, but there was a lot of attention, which meant everyone was just going to try it out. That's a great place to be in. So when they got all these people to try it out, the downside is that people were like, what the fuck is this game? And as you can see, based on the Steam charts here, people are not happy with High Guard. The reviews are overwhelmingly negative. I want to say, it's what, 30% positive reviews, something like that.
36 right now. Yep.
I will say that there's a friend of mine who was like, I'm going to play it. And I was like, don't do that to yourself. He installs it, plays it, like sight unseen, doesn't really know anything about it. He goes, what the fuck? It's 3v3? And I was like, yeah, dude. So it's also 3v3 with giant maps. His take was that it would have played better as like a 12v12. And then I was talking to him about design scope and problems around that. It's 3v3 because they only have 8 shipped heroes. So it has a hero shooter aspect to it. And you need to make it so that each team can have a unique pick. And then there are some dudes left out so that there's some guessing about team comp, especially in a competitive environment. So it's 3v3 because they only shipped 8 heroes. To support 12v12, they would need to ship something like 30 or 32. I didn't actually do the math on that, but if you consider that as a design space problem, that's significantly bigger because now you have to make a bunch of unique archetypes. It's a lot more, just much larger in scope. So,
Adder, can you explain kind of in simpler terms, I guess, like what does the math look like on adding players in multiplayer and what it does to perf? Because that's not something I've ever really thought about before, and it kind of makes sense, but like at the same time I was just thinking about it from like a client or a server perspective, and I guess it's like you're adding in another replicated player character that has to transmit back and forth with the server, and the server has to distribute their information to the other players. But like, to me, it has always seemed like once you have it working, like adding another one in isn't the end of the world, but maybe I'm wrong.
There you go. I add 5 FPS per player on screen for VFX overhead.
VFX overhead. And is it because that more players are doing more things at once, which is making more VFX happening at once possible? Is that just kind of it?
Yeah. Okay. That sounds right to me. It's
like APM to the server to some extent or something. Like, I don't know. I just I don't know. We make big games with 64 and 100 players in them and stuff now. So I just have never really assumed that more players meant inherently that perf was going to be worse. But what you guys are saying makes sense for sure. So yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad you brought that up too, Adder. I just wanted to talk about the design constraints and all of that bit. But yeah, absolutely perf is a consideration too. You can't do larger team comps. So that manifested in a really weird way. They have this giant map that you play on with only 3v3. So a lot of players are complaining. They're like, everything feels really empty. There's like not a lot going on at the beginning phase of a match because everyone's looting. And then you start to fight. And then, so like the first half or first third of the match is like not much is going on.
And then do you die and like go back to base and then have to like run across the whole level again? Is that what happens?
Kinda. Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Okay.
There's like
I
a
haven't even
respawn
watched people
system.
play it, to be honest, but
Yeah, that's where you get the Overwatch comparison. Is that you have like, if your teammate doesn't res you and someone like permanently destroys your corpse or whatever, you have a much longer timer respawn. So that's like the balance mechanic for gaining the upper hand and pushing the objective and whatnot. There was something else I wanted to say about Highguard as well that I thought was interesting. We were talking about perf. So one of the players I was watching was Shroud, and Shroud, like, I gotta say, just as a game dev, this is one of the most infuriating things. Shroud was like, this game is very poorly optimized. I'm playing at 4K, render scale 30%, because if I play at 4K, I'm going to get like 90 FPS. And he's like, I'm not the type of player that's going to be at 90 FPS. And I'm like, dude, you can't fucking tell a difference. Like, when you get above 90, you can't.
Oh, he also implied that FPS made the response time change on monitor or something, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. But yeah.
And so what bothers me about this is that Shroud is viewed as an expert. Like, he said this to like 40,000 people watching him play Highguard. And I'm like, they're all going to believe that now. And he's talking about how, you know, he's Unk status because he has to use, you know, he's playing in 4K, which is not, you never want to play a game in 4K if you want to be good at it. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? I mean, so the one thing I want to clarify is that he's a very good player. He can likely sense differences in frame rates at, you know, a level that most human beings cannot. But he's giving this advice to the general public, you know, sharing his like hot take. And most people will never, ever see that shit. But he's like, yeah, you should play at 1080p if you want all the frames. He's like, you get like over 200 frames. He's just whipping numbers out randomly. He's not tried any of this stuff. He's just saying it. And that's where I find that to be problematic. Like, he even at one point was like, he goes, guys, it's not even about FPS. It's about like frame hold time. And he's like, my lowest lows are, you know, really long, but my, you know, at 4K, but if I'm at 1080p, those lows are going to be like, the 1% are going to be much less. And then he just dropped the conversation. I'm like, what are you even talking about? What are
like,
you
a lot of that is correct, but then like some of it is just like, you don't even understand the technology you're talking about. Like,
he didn't explain any of it. And I'm like, dude, you're just giving these people information without explaining any of it. Like, that's so now we're just gonna get more angry gamers like saying, ha, Unreal game sucks, you know, whatever, right? You're just gonna get more noise. That's another point of this stream, is to stop that silly conversation from happening. Like, we can just tell you guys as game devs like what it is. We'll be here, you know, 4 hours a week forever. So anyway, CPU hasn't been a limitation for multiplayer stuff since Xbox 360 era. It's all local GPU. Yeah. Server has to be more robust for more players, but it's negligible with scalable servers these days. Even with RPGs, I found the replication RPCs to need some significant optimization with the player count. Starts getting into double digits. I don't even know what you're talking about, Graham, but word. Translucent overdraw is always the headache and made way worse with long sight lines. Yep. That's what I'm used to at her. Hence why COD is almost always strategically limited sight lines. The largest sight line on the map in COD was a cannon map on World War II. We had to split the map with a railway on a hill to meet perf targets. Once you layer in NPCs and high player count, it's a whole different ball game. Yeah. High player count plus AI pathing is a lot of CPU load. Was more talking arena shooters like Highguard or COD or Overwatch. Yeah. Yeah. Yo, AAA batteries here. But Jeff said it was good. So, Tony, did you watch the donkey video on Highguard?
I haven't yet. No, I definitely intend to, though. Yeah.
It's really fucking funny. Yeah, I would be willing to, you know, if you guys want to watch it, I would like to watch it on stream so that we can all laugh at it. It's not very long. I think it's like 10 minutes maybe, but that shit is so good. What's up, Landair? Some real fucking gamers streaming. Thanks, man. Sniper scopes are like perf quicksand. Yeah, absolutely, Adder. So I think
Tarkov has a really big problem with that right now.
Yes. I was going to say, Tony and I have talked about it with Tarkov, because they basically just like add another fucking render. Like,
it's just very a scene capture component basically, and you'll see a lot of people like Vince and I upgraded PCs recently, so it doesn't really affect us anymore, which first world problem, I guess. But a lot of people, it's like you cannot run a scope on certain maps because you will be arguably like playing worse because you have like 15 FPS. And
yes,
that's wild.
Lander. Yeah, exactly, Lander. There's a bunch of ways to solve the problem, but that's just kind of the way Tarkov did it, because they're like, I don't know, I guess we'll just do it this way, and it causes perf problems. So they're gonna have to try to figure that out.
It's more like it's like a perfectly high quality scene capture through the scope, and then I think they leave the quality of the scene capture outside of the scope exactly the same too, which is nice in Tarkov because like you'll see people out of your peripheral vision while you're zoomed in and be like, oh fuck, and like I don't know, I'm not sure what the solution is, but it's been a problem for a long time.
Land Arrows watching the High Guard teaser from TGA with Josh, and holy shit, dude, everything about the gunplay and abilities looks like Valorant ripoff. Literally every ability they showed exists in Valorant. I was screaming at the TV, Valorant, Valorant, Valorant every 4 seconds. I mean, you're not wrong in that. So that's my take on High Guard, was that it's a bunch of producers, people who've made video games before, but from like business management level. And so they probably grabbed a bunch of data and said, look at this. These are the best verticals in the segment, these types of games, this genre. It has to have this and do this and have these components. And then they grabbed that data and said, make a game that fits this data set. That's what High Guard looks like to me. So I got the sense that there's no passion, no vision. The art, I think, is perfectly fine. I would say the art even looks good. The game design is where I'm like, what the fuck is this? I think it's a very weird model for a competitive gameplay mode. You know, you could even draw comparisons to Marvel Rivals, which is Overwatch, but yeah. Adder says it's a little bit of rendering the scene twice, depending on how you handle world rendering. COD was just camera tricks with the player arms layered on top of the scene. They'd zoom in, but we also had to load in LODs as camera zoomed in, which included high-res character meshes. Yeah. That seems like a good technical way to do it, and I'm guessing Tarkov is just not doing any technical wizardry. They're just, we have second render.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, this is generally like what your character actually looks like in an FPS. There's like, you usually see the camera. There's not like an actual mesh for it, but there's just like a camera on here and arms. Even in Tarkov, if you like whip your camera around too fast, I feel like I can see inside the shoulder sometimes on one side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting, but this is how games have been doing it since like Halo, from the way I understand it.
My drawing, I don't even think it's AI slop. Like, I really don't even think High Guard is AI slop. I think it's NBA slop.
Games take a long time to make. AI didn't even exist for probably half the dev cycle of that game. So,
yeah, and it's NBA slop. It's the business leaders who don't know games that I've been yelling about for 3 years now. It's those guys got a budget, they got a team. There were over 100 people that worked on High Guard, which is crazy to think about.
OG slop, yeah, that's handmade slop.
Yes,
right there.
yes,
handcrafted
exactly.
slop. Yep.
Thank you.
The AI slop games are like, do you guys remember the cat game that they did at the Game Awards like 2 years ago that never ended up existing? Catly, I think is what it was called.
I don't remember that.
Dude, I bet I can get it on the system. Let me see. But it was like a fake game that Jeff Keighley again was like, oh, check out this game. This looks so cool. And I don't think it's come out still to this day.
I like Adder's answer here about scopes. So you get overdraw, lose lower environment LODs, and render high-res characters as it has to happen in a split second to support competitive gameplay where players are flicking in and out of the scope. Yeah, dude. Modern FPSs have player arms render and whole separate render paths. They're not in the environment or game world. On Destiny, we had a whole separate renderer and shader set just for the arms.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I
was thinking it while we were talking about it, and I was like, I don't know if we want to get into this right now, but I've always found that that's interesting and kind of hurts my brain a little bit. It's like everything you're seeing for like your gun and your arms and stuff like isn't even in the world technically. Like it's all just being calculated to look like it is, and it's wild.
Prompt engineer is such a wacky turn of phrase, Acid Hex. I hate it.
I like Slopperator.
Slopperator is great.
Anybody ever tells me they're a prompt engineer, I'm going to tell them they're a Slopperator. That's amazing.
Sorry, my drong. I don't mean it's AI. I mean in the future when AI can make entire games, they're gonna have that kind of game design.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so. This is the funny thing to me when people like AI is gonna be making games. We're gonna have that in the next like 2 years. I don't think so, guys. They won't be games. They'll look like games. You'll think it's a game, but everything I've seen so far that is AI slop that is a game isn't a game. It just has graphics and looks like people are doing things.
What was the guy saying? I bet we'll be able to generate GTA 6 before GTA 6 actually comes out. That's the craziest shit I've ever heard.
What's up, Turning Cog? No, you're not that late, bro. Oh, yeah, you are actually. My bad. You are an hour and a half late.
And this one has flown by. I can't believe it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is it possible to split the rendering for ARM's environment like that in UE? You might have to roll your own for that, Graham.
I think it's like you're doing a scene capture at that point. Like basically the arms are in another place beside the level, like are they just like floating in the sky or below the ground or something in one place with the camera on them? And then as you're doing your input, I presume it's moving another camera around the actual level and then projecting the animation of the arms like green screen on top of everything. And then there's like data coming in that makes the lighting on the arms update in real time and shit. Something like that.
Tony, while you're thinking about that, Landair says, what the fuck is this?
This is AI flop game. This is what I'm talking about. Like this game got shown at the Game Awards and hyped up by Jeff Keighley, and immediately like this looks more like an actual thing that was made in a game engine, but the first trailer they showed, it was very clearly an AI video, and it has still not come out. It's been like 2+ years now, and I don't know. It probably will come out, but I don't think it's going to be anything like they showed. It was supposed to be like this like cutesy cat simulator thing, and it kind of looks not great to me now, but yeah.
Attack the Dawn said, I thought I smelled bacon at Turning Cog. Are you implying that he's a cop? Turning Cog, are you the police?
You have to tell us if you're
a cop.
You
have to tell us, dude. That's the rules.
If I find out you're a cop after I let you into our Discord server, I'm gonna be really fucking mad.
Turning cop, dude. We smell you. We know. They're working on ML-driven locomotion for how the cats move. Yeah, dude. Exactly. Turning Cog is a bacon of the community. What do you guys... Why is this a meme that you guys know? Why is he the bacon? I feel bad. We like Turning Cog. Don't let them bully you, bro. I know it's probably just friendly banter, but I'm just saying. No, I'm a bacon. Oh, like Beacon. I got you guys. All right. My drawing and Graham misheard Beacon from Tina, our old community manager. I got it. Yo, LFQ with the 10 gifted.
Whoa, bro.
The hype train. Let's go, LFQ. I hope you get that. I hope you get that new gig, man. I hope you're happier and more comfortable financially, assuming you are already, right? You know. But yeah, I hope you're living your best life, brother. Thank you so much for the support as always.
Adder says, on Redfall in UE4, we had arms separate. Tony's correct. It is stenciled over your game instance from a separate scene. We had to set up an invisible sphere that would capture local lighting and then apply that to the arms. The arms were actually flat projection onto an unlit... Wow, they're not even 3D. Crazy. Okay. That's cool.
Very cool.
Like, we were just talking about how, like, scene captures are kind of the bane of scopes and a lot of like tricks that would work really cool in games if you could use them, but they like kill perf. So how it sounds like that's basically just a scene capture. So how is that not like destroying perf, or like how is that a more performant way to do it than just like putting the arms in the game, which seems like it would be simpler anyway?
I think it's less calculations, which is crazy because you wouldn't think about that.
I guess that makes sense,
because you're saying there's a bunch of shit I don't need. Don't do this. Obviously, you have that method probably takes a lot of careful planning and design choice from the start. You have to think about that like as you're building the thing. So you're like, we have this idea and solution.
Oh yeah, okay. I definitely just remember like watching some Bungie technical discussion one time where I think they kind of showed them like effectively like removing the game from around the arms and just showing the arms, and I was like, oh my god, it's crazy. And Yeah.
That's exactly what a cop would say, turning cog. AAA says Catley is also the type of not game to have 1 million MTX and make bank. Yeah, I mean, people are going to be buying cats. I think that's one of the funniest bits in the Donkey video. He's like, I gotta buy the Bastion of Velcor, and they're like, his friends are like, don't do it, and he's like, but it's only $100, I'm gonna buy it, and they're like, don't fucking do it, and he like clicks on it and buys it. He's like, I bought it. It's so funny, and he's like, I did it for Jeff. We're Jeff's army. This is the best game I've ever played, right, Jeff?
Oh my God.
It's so fucking funny. Like Donkey, it's one of the best Donkey videos he's made in a while. He goes in. He calls it high chord, conguard, concord, overcord, like overguard. It's so fucking funny, man. All the custom HLSL, including a custom lighting solution included in that shader package. Yeah. You're right, Graham. Super custom solution. That's part of the AAA FPS magic, the high level of polish. They have the resources and the experience to make stuff like that. So that's why you see that, you know, it's slipping a lot lately. Obviously, we all know that, but that's why AAA was on top for the longest time, is because they had the best talent, they had the best technology. They knew how to make shit work in ways that, you know, indies just didn't know, because we didn't have the, you know, the knowledge there, right, to put into stuff. So, yep. You know, working on Destiny, all of the tools were bespoke. They made them in-house, and they were made to make Destiny. None of those tools were used on any other game. It's just the way it is. And that's like world editor to database handler tool for like player data. You know, I have this hat, I have this gear in my stash or whatever, right? Like in my vault. All of that stuff had its own custom tool to update all that.
5.5 added first-person arm rendering as a built-in UE feature. Really?
Oh, that's sick, dude.
First-person arm rendering, Unreal. Let's see what we got.
Oh, that's cool to know, Adder. He said it was a 6-month endeavor for two rendering engineers and me being the lighting tech artist to make that ARMS solution. That's very cool. Started from scratch and only added features that pushed quality of ARMS forward. Fuck yeah, dude. Okay, so the new feature is experimental in UE5.7.
So it looks like there's a new camera. Maybe. Let's see.
Graham, there are a million ways to skin that cat.
No, maybe not.
But we would love to, you know, if you want to like share what you're working on, or if you get stuck at any point, you want to like drop info in the Discord. I'm sure that there are plenty of people in the community who'd be like, thank you so much for telling us what you've learned and like all that. So that'd be really cool. Why are we skinning the Catley cats? For the MTX clothes that you give to your other cat. I'm just guessing. I figured that's how it works. Oh, here we go. We got this respectfully no. What the fuck? Yeah, choo choo. Photo scan your own arms and put them in the game. Yeah, it could work.
This is interesting.
Everything else I've done is third person, so it'll be a first for me to mess with. Dude, good luck, Graham. It's a completely different problem set.
This definitely looks more complicated, but I think it does allow you to do exactly what we're talking about. So you can see here, like, we're rendering shadows or not. We're rendering two guns, but only seeing one. I think they're just kind of showing that you can, like, affect what's actually shown in the first person view versus what's actually shown in like the level and stuff. Very interesting.
Oh, there you go. Lots of perks like being able to crank up AO quality without a worldwide perf hit. Just now one more feature to keep tabs on.
Which I mean, like, again, I know we've talked a lot about how in Destiny or COD or even Tarkov or whatever, it's like the thing that you can see all the time, the most, with the most detail, the closest to your face, is the gun in your hands. And it has to look good all the time. and I could just very easily see that like putting it in its own self-contained thing that you can kind of like turn the dials on and stuff outside of everything else is probably very important. So
what's up, Sushi Fu? Welcome.
Yo. Sushi, we were learning that there's a new thing in 5.5 that lets you have like a separate rendering pipeline for first person so that you can like do what they do in Destiny and COD and stuff and render your gun kind of like on top of the scene or like separately from the rest of the lighting and all that.
Graham says, I'm assuming you're talking about your game there. It's multiplayer and lots of AI, so I'll be rendering tons of other full characters, but it will be interesting to see how it works for the client's own character. Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth going down this road, Graham, and just seeing if you can understand enough about how the system works to make your own solution that does exactly what you need. That's probably the way to go. Most FPSs use a custom AO solution for their first-person arms. We dropped a paper at SIGGRAPH 2018 about our work on COD World War II on that topic. If you want shader HLSL inspo. Yeah, dude. Adder, if you want to drop that in Discord, that'd be sick. I'm sure there's plenty of people in chat that would love to check that out. Acid was saying the old weekend at Bernie's. What, photo scanning your own arms? Is that what that was? Or like, I don't know. I'm trying to follow the weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, I guess. All right, that's fair, bro. I liked it. It was a wacky quip. Okay, so Highguard, as we were talking about, not good reception. I think one of the other things was that, and I don't know enough about this, Tony. You probably know a little more. I guess the devs were coming out saying like, hey, we didn't know Jeff was going to play this at the end of the fucking Game Awards. Like, we didn't want to share all this stuff, but he asked us to make a trailer
in like a day. Like, they thought it was just going to be like a little nothing thing. Yeah.
And so they were like, Jeff overhyped the game. We didn't mean to do this. But if you think about it, their strategy for marketing was really good. They knew they didn't have a lot of good shit to show, so they were just quiet. And because it's a free-to-play game, they got 100,000 people on the first day to play their game. Concurrent, which is important. So this is another trick, guys. When you're looking at Steam charts and you're looking at concurrent to judge the health of a game, that's not a good marker. If the game is premium sales, so obviously Highguard is not, it's free-to-play, but if the game has a value associated with it in order to get in and play the game, concurrency is not going to tell you shit. That's just going to tell you if it's a multiplayer game and you're looking at concurrency. That'll kind of give you an idea of what the population's like when you're playing in online matches and stuff, but it's not a good indicator of success of a game. It's one data point. And if you're drawing all your conclusions off of that, it's going to be wrong, especially if it's on multiple platforms, because you'll never have any insight to what the console numbers look like. They're very closely guarded. Imagine blaming your failure on free marketing. Not a single wrinkle on that brain. Very smooth.
I saw them saying that I don't know if it was them saying it or somebody else, but like the theory is that they thought that this was the type of game that they needed to shadow drop so that people would not have preconceived notions about it and would maybe go into it with a slightly open mind, see if it was for them. It would, build up a community naturally through people that actually liked it and cared about it. And definitely the way the situation went prevented that from happening for them and kind of just allowed everybody to be like, this game's going to suck ass before it even comes out. And that's unfortunate for them.
For what it's worth, I think they also released like a multi-year roadmap for the plans for the game. So they showed like, we're going to have new seasons and we're going to do all these other things. I mean, it's everything you guys expect. Game as a service, battle pass, MTX, all that shit. Everything that you know and hate about current games.
Everything you know and love from Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, it's in Highguard. So yeah, guys, marketing for our project is based entirely on tricking people into playing the game because it looks like shit in our test trailers. Yeah, you're not supposed to say that out loud. And like, they should have just stayed quiet. They should have just been like, hey, we really appreciate the 100,000 of you that, hit our concurrency peak. This is not what we expected. Thank you for playing Highguard. We hope you like it. Here's our plans. This is what we're going to do next. You know, like get information about what people like about it and talk about the positive things. Don't talk about the fucking negative shit. Don't throw Jeff Keighley under a bus that, you know, he's driving. It's weird. Yeah. I was gonna say some other shit, but I'm like, nah, don't say that out loud. Let's see. We have I put some things in stream to chat about. Oh, I saw. So this is a little weird. We're getting some conversations about the PlayStation 6 already, but the conversation is PlayStation 6 is still some years off. And I'm like, why is anyone talking about PlayStation 6 right now? It's just weird. So I thought that was very strange. Didn't care for it. In a positive thing, 2 unreleased Virtual Boy games are coming to Nintendo Switch as part of the Nintendo Store Online, I think, expansion pack. Zero Racer and D Hopper. D Hopper's an unfortunate name, I think, in 2026. No. Turning Cog, it won't be Headache Machine. It's not actually the Virtual Boy. You'll be able to play them, the games on Switch.
Well, but you can put your Switch in that Labo cardboard VR thing and actually play the Virtual Boy, I'm pretty sure. But.
Yeah, it is Landair. I bet you they were probably Nintendo first party, so they already own the rights. And they were like, let's just throw this shit in there because people will probably buy it.
Part of the big controversy of that lineup getting announced is that there's Metroid Prime 2 Echoes in it, and everybody has been wanting them to remaster that like they did Prime 1 for a long time, and they think that it's a pretty big indication that they're not going to, because they never put Prime 1 on Nintendo Switch Online because they're remastering it.
What's up?
Prime 1 remaster was awesome, to be fair.
What's up, Imgenius? I'm not going to say your name. I'm genius.
Imgenius. Nice.
Let's see. I'm surprised they're able to bring the games. Licensing, yeah, Microsoft can do backwards compat for basically any Xbox 360 game on Xbox One. They've tested many titles, but licensing issues prevents them from doing it. Yeah, there was...
Bro, they could probably put the entire original Xbox and Xbox 360 catalog on PC Game Pass tomorrow if they wanted to, and can't for various reasons. But
yeah, you have to negotiate with the original developer, and in a lot of cases, they don't exist anymore.
And for whatever reason, it just feels like that would print money, though. Like, they could probably compete with Steam if they put the entire Xbox 360 library on Game Pass. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
There's probably a business person at Microsoft trying to figure out how to do it. And I'm sure it's, you know, inside politics, and someone's like, no, this is stupid. I don't like John bring back the Xbox 360 catalog. So I'm going to just torpedo his efforts at every turn. Yeah. But also that would be a very complicated deal because of all the licensing considerations. These companies don't exist anymore. So
yep. Who
do you even fucking contact to be like, what's the deal? How can we get the rights to this so we can put it on our platform again? Like, I don't know. Actually, I think emulation on Xbox One depends on hardware features. They could probably do it without those hardware features, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. PS6 definitely on the horizon. GTA 6 and Witcher banking on it. Just shoot me an email and I'll tell them no. All right. Bet, LFQ. I know, Adder, but like I don't like the conversation. Like PS6 is gonna be a ways away. We know that already still. So I don't know. It's more of the fuck. What was the article I saw that I was like, oh, this is actually game news. This is good. What, was it the Virtual Boy one? It was the Virtual Boy one.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like actually an announcement. It's like, hey, you can play some Virtual Boy titles on Switch. That's cool. That's news. That's interesting. But being like PS6 might exist is I don't know. It's just bait. So I thought this one was interesting. There was an article today. There's an indie dev in Japan who turned to social media to increase the length of their game's credits, which I think is a little strange. But they were saying that we didn't like how short our credits were. We wanted to add more people in there so that it was clear that there was a larger effort. So they put out a tweet and said, anyone who likes this will get mentioned in the credits. And they got 60,000 likes, and it took them over 300 hours to add all those people to the credits. So let's back up here.
They type them out by hand?
That's a part of what I'm saying. This entire article is marketing. All of this is marketing. That whole thing. Oops, we accidentally got people. That's marketing.
We built a video game, but we couldn't write a script to add strings into our credits. Like, okay.
Yeah, and then saying like, oh, it took us 300 hours to do this. Marketing. Nobody knew about the game. They were struggling to make people know about the game until they said like this. And now at least 60,000 people know about the game. And then anyone who reads this article, anyone who's listening to me talk about it knows about the game. I didn't mention what it was, so. But yeah, I'm sure you guys can find it if you are really curious what it is. But it seems like it's just a small indie horror game out of Japan. So I don't know. Let's see. Do they have the title of the game in here? Because I'll mention that. Oh, this is all in Japanese. 60,000 applications to add into the credits. What is your game called? Twilight Moonflower. So in case you guys are curious about where Twilight Moonflower came from, it was probably this marketing move. If you hear about it in the future, that is. Adder, I bet holiday 2027 new consoles. Yeah, I'll put the house on it. Yeah, let's go, dude. Public activity RSS feed? That's crazy, dude. Trying to time the releases a year or so before the console drop, then they'll re-release on PS6, Xbox a year later. Console day ones. Yup. No, you're totally right. It's just depressing. You're totally right. Let me see if there's anything else interesting in here. I guess Code Vein is coming out, so I see a lot of Code Vein everywhere. There's a Ren and Stimpy retro games compilation that's been announced. The Happy Happy Joy Joy collection is coming to Switch, PS5, and PC. I don't think anyone wants that, but it's the world we live in now.
I remember a Ren and Stimpy game on Super Nintendo or like Genesis or something, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Monster Hunter Wild's got a PC patch. Capcom says it'll fix recently reported DLC performance bug. For what it's worth, I played a few hours of the new shit with Artificial Sky, and I didn't see any performance issues.
That patch came out 2 days before you guys played. I was reading that article.
Oh, okay, so I probably already got the patch.
It was running so good for them. Yeah. So.
Patterns repeating themselves and thinking about how Witcher going to make back that 800 million. Yeah, dude. 800 million is a crazy bet on making a game. Just think about that, guys. If you spend 800 million to make a game, you need to make 800 million at least to cover that cost. And then that's not even making money.
Random Google search says May 2025, Witcher 3 has sold 60 million copies. So I don't know what that number looks like, but if we just do like 60 times 60 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is that? 3.6 billion, 360 million.
Some kind of numbers, dude.
How many zeros is this? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 billion, 600 million is supposedly what the maybe grossed on The Witcher 3.
Yeah, but that's like pure revenue, which is not going to.
Yeah, be like and that's why I'm saying gross. Like, you gotta pay taxes on that. You gotta pay Steam on that. You gotta pay back all the costs that went into making it, advertising, publishing, blah blah. Fucking Henry Cavill, whatever.
Claw, if you want to link the procedural mesh generation tools Lyra, you can link it in the Discord. We're totally cool with that, and that would be an awesome way to share that.
Burning Cog has actually talked a lot about those tools, and I got a Lyra project up right here so I can show what we're talking about.
Hell yeah. Yeah, exactly, Acid Hex. The house always wins, man.
This one might have them. Let's see.
Turning Cog, you had the Ren and Stimpy game on Genesis. They could have given me 100 million of that, and I'd have a lot of money. That's true. That's exactly true. LFQ. The average sale price was $60. So we're just talking about Witcher. I think the biggest bump they had in revenue was Cyberpunk. I was looking at some charts for like studio performance and whatnot, and it's like fiscals for over time, and there's like massive spike for Cyberpunk, and then they go down, but they're still trending upward. But that's basically this is not a huge revelation here, but game studios make money when they sell their game, and it usually happens in a big spurt. So if you don't get sales off that big spurt, you got to make another game or figure out what you're going to do with the business, right? Like, you grew up unhinged like Ren. Bro, take this any way you want, but I think you give Stimpy vibes, and I think Stimpy's a nicer character. So,
yeah, I don't see you going around like, you idiot.
Yeah,
everybody you know.
You might see yourself as Ren, but I think you come off as a Stimpy, and I do not think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. I think it's safe to say average sale price was $60. Yep, read that. Padded by merchant IP licensing for sure. Netflix paying out big though. They're definitely padding dev funding so Netflix can make more shows. Yep. I mean, I watched Ren and Stimpy a ton. I didn't play the Ren and Stimpy games. I do remember them, but I didn't care. I wanted to play like Earthworm Jim and Mortal Kombat. I think those were the games I was playing at the time.
All right, so these are the procedural tools that was
Claw.
Claw, yeah. So you got a BP here. If you're in a Lyra project and content tools, you got a bunch of BPs here: window, doors, stairs, blah blah blah. So like this one, for example, you get this panel. It might be the ability to change the size, maybe not, because this is, I think, set up to be kind of like a modular system. But what you can do is you can drop this panel in, and it has a window in it, and then you can move the position of the window around, and then also like the corner of the window, so that you can kind of make like mildly custom stuff as you're doing a block out. Like this would fit within kind of the same system that I'm working on though, where like all of this kind of slots together nicely. But like this one in the middle has a big window here, and these maybe get moved like off to the side like this on each one, and like you can just see how quick I'm slapping this out in like under 30 seconds basically. Boom. So these tools are really cool. I haven't started using them too much yet, but they have all sorts of different ones for like these tunnel things, which again has kind of these like dynamic handle pieces that you can use to make it look different. And there's like a stair one. I actually probably need to use some of these for some of the things I've been looking at, but yeah, these are really cool. And then I believe you can do something with these two to bake them out into actual meshes. So that's what, if you play the Lyra shooter game Expanse or whatever, which is the level that I was just in, the entire thing is built this way. So if I go back to this now and just like in everything, I think there's a way to do that.
Yeah, that's what Claw was saying too. It takes some steps, but you can export these to other projects.
Yeah, Turning Cog has talked a lot about how he, I think you said you put these in other projects a lot, don't you? I don't know if he's here right now, but yeah, you can just use the built-in migration tool in Unreal if you ever need them. And if you've ever heard me talk about like content plugins and how you can make those so that you can access the same tool from a bunch of different projects locally, might be a good thing to make one out of that you can kind of just throw into your projects and use real easy. But so this is like the Lyra main level that's called Expanse, and if you start clicking around, you'll see like these are all bespoke static meshes, but that's, I imagine, for performance reasons. And a lot of these things started out as those blueprints that I was just showing you. Like this hole in the floor, guaranteed has to be one that started out that way. And you can kind of see these like archways are that archway tool that I was showing you guys, and so on and so forth. And all of this stuff, probably when they put it together, was like nicely laid out on a grid. For people who weren't here last week, we learned a lot about modular level design and designing modular level tools in the right way, and kind of some of the best practices from the industry. There's this thing that Adder kept calling the Bible, that is this page right here, which I'll link in the chat, but it's creating modular environments in UDK, and it was written a very, very long time ago. See these screenshots from what I have to imagine is some version of Unreal Engine from like the early 2000s. But some very good insight in here about how to be thinking about these things. And I read through this about 15 times after he sent it to us. So highly recommend.
UE3, yeah.
There we go. And UE3, just for reference, is like PS2, I think is when UE3 started, right? Maybe PS3. It's pretty early. And
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sushi Fu said, "Oh my god, I loved Earthworm Jim. Don't tell people that on the internet. They hate that guy."
Really?
Oh yeah, Earthworm Jim guy has like popped off saying a bunch of political shit on socials. He's not fondly remembered by the people who don't play games and like to comment on that shit. No, they didn't cancel Earthworm Jim. They canceled the creator.
Yeah, so UE3 went, the reason I was starting to say that is UE3 went from like PS2 era all the way through like maybe even early PS4 era. And then UE4 came out and was kind of the standard moving forward from there until we got to UE5, of course. But I kind of never knew that, but like there is a lot of games on UE3 that kind of span from, you know, far before Half-Life 2 to far after Half-Life 2, which is kind of I think a fairly pivotal moment in when games got better. But
the co-pilot results for Earthworm Jim creator controversy are: this dude creator has faced significant controversy due to his outspoken conservative views and controversial statements regarding social issues. I'm not going to say specifically which ones, which have led to his exclusion from new projects related to the franchise. So yeah, if you guys want to know about his wild shit, he said a lot of stuff that people viewed as hateful and discriminatory publicly, and it's, you know, he got canceled. So bummer for that dude. You know, guys, you don't have to say shit out loud, even if you have an opinion that is going to piss people off. Just don't fucking say it and you'll be fine. Could also not be a piece of shit. Like that's also a viable course of action.
Adder, what did Epic do when UE4 came out? Like, what was the flagship thing that they made to show it off? Was it a Gears of War at the time? Like, they weren't doing Unreal Tournament anymore, and it might be a little early for Fortnite, but maybe it's Fortnite. Because if you go back to UE3, it was either Unreal Tournament or like early Gears of War were definitely like the showcase, right? If you look into the history of FPS, guys, like I think it's probably more interesting than almost any other history of video games, because there's like 3 engines and like 2 developers that like effectively created the entire landscape. And like you can draw a line from almost every game up to like the mid 2000s. So like effectively id and Epic.
I distracted chat. Everyone's talking about how, but I have a social media platform. People want me to say crazy shit.
That's good. Adder says Fortnite and Hellblade were the 2 OG UE4 showcase projects, but
Yes,
Gears
I
of War
remember
was
that.
a big one later. Okay, yeah,
I remember that.
definitely.
Dude, I remember when Fortnite was announced and I saw it at PAX. I was like, what is this? This is crazy. It's weird that they chose to like bank on this because they haven't made a big ass game for a while.
And I just remember it's like these are the guys that made Unreal Tournament and Gears of War,
Yeah.
and they made Fortnite, and it's like, really? Okay.
Yeah, Fortnite was Save the World was the first mode that they launched with, and then someone internally made a battle royale because PUBG was starting to pop off, and that's why everyone
Because
knows
they
Fortnite.
had
knows
designed
what it is
Fortnite in such a modular way, very similar to Lyra and all of this stuff that we talk about all the time. That's the only reason Fortnite is as big as it is because they're able to pivot that shit into a battle royale overnight.
Yeah, one dude in the studio made a passion project and was like, guys, check this out. And then people played it and they're like,
It
holy
was
shit.
within
this
like
is
2
good.
days of PUBG coming out that had that shit. It was insane.
And they're like, this is pretty good. Let's see what people think. And they threw it out there, and it is the monster it is today because of that.
And it effectively you know, 3 steps later is UE5. Like all the stuff they put into UE5 is because of what they were effectively doing custom in Fortnite that they thought was like, this is just better. We should just make it so this is how people do it.
They ripped off her vehicle design. That's so funny, dude.
Fortnite was a zombie apocalypse survival game that was riding COD zombie hype. They copied our COD Advanced Warfare map. My fiance was pissed because they ripped off her vehicle design work at the time. Wow.
Yeah, it's so interesting what Fortnite turned into, because it was, you know, that was Save the World was a zombie apocalypse thing. Yep. And it was like culturally too late. No one cared about that shit anymore, but they'd been making it for a long time. But, you know, exactly to Tony's point, because they built it in a modular way, because they're, you know, a game engine first and then a game studio second, they were ready to make it whatever it needed to be.
And the Save the World thing was always going to be a live service too. So like it just had all the systems in place.
Everything was already there.
It really well. And, you know, as I've talked about before, like they can take Fortnite and they can make Battle Royale, Mario Kart, Lego, Minecraft, like all of that is effectively just the same code base, and them like making game assets and changing drop downs and, you know, making custom meshes and stuff. Like it's kind of wild. So that's one of the reasons I've really been trying to learn it better, because it seems really powerful.
Yeah, exactly, Adder. Fortnite straight up died for like 2 to 3 years. Then they brought it back with the BR demo mode following DayZ hype, and it blew up. Yep, because it was free to play.
It was free and PUBG wasn't.
Yep, it was free. People could get in there. They could play it. Then they
cartoony, so little kids liked it way better than the more gritty other ones.
Or parents were more willing to let them play it because it didn't seem like real violence, you know?
Definitely. Yep. So.
Yeah, and then they put it on phones and tablets, and the iPad kids can just play the shit out of it and have
like if you think it came out like at the same time as PUBG, but it looks like Gears of War or Unreal Tournament or something, probably wouldn't have popped off like it did, because it wouldn't have been child friendly.
Yep.
And no blood. There's not really any like real violence. You just kind of like cartoon explode all your stuff out, and there's like some light. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example of the business leaders like reading the tea leaves correctly and knowing, you know, okay, hey, we're getting killed here. We have the tools. Let's just throw this out there and see what people think. And then they're like, holy shit, this is going. And then they were ready, and they just supported it and made it better and better and better. And it's, you know, Fortnite is a very important game. It's formative for a lot of people. Like they remember playing Fortnite. That was the thing that got them into games. They played it from a very young age. It had all these pop culture references. It was online. Their favorite streamers are Fortnite streamers, all that shit. And it's just, in this case, it's a clear example, I think, of the turn of phrase that like luck favors the ready, or, you know, I think this is a military thing, but it's about cavalry scouts. It's like toujours prêt, something like that. I don't know. I know that was a thing that my Cav Scout friends would say all the time. And it's basically like, be prepared, you know, like the Boy Scout motto. Just be ready. Like luck is a confluence of being ready for the opportunity when it arises. So it's not just random opportunity. Yeah, boom, billions in quarterly revenue. I wouldn't let the kid play Fortnite because he was addicted to Disney Infinity characters and amiibos. I didn't want all the grandparents to bleed MTX monies. Yeah, dude. If the grandparents are buying the kid V-Bucks for Christmas, yikes. Everybody's favorite MMO streamers started out as Fortnite content creators.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Got a pretty terrible reputation in that community too, from what I've seen. But
they're making the next gen MMO, the WoW killer, dude.
Yep. Has anybody checked up on that scam recently? They had like some new stuff that we were seeing there for a little bit that people were sending me, and I haven't been paying attention. But
10 hours a day, no days.
They finally opened Unreal Engine after like 5 years. So
Adder, you know this.
Adder, you know who we're fucking.
You know this.
I mean, I'll say Team Bash with my chest all day. You know I will. But
yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, Adder's like, I forgot. Yep. Now I have something else to draw my ire. Yeah, no, you done Adder psychic damage. Now he's gonna go look, and it's gonna be bad for his mental health.
No, I appreciate that people keep me abreast of the goings on. You know.
Oh man, what a fucking What
Wow.
a couple of guys. What a couple of guys. Sushi, you don't know about this? That's crazy. So we
Sushi,
learned
just
about it.
Forget that we said it and don't think about it and don't look into it.
Yeah, it's not good for you. We found out about these guys early on, like before we started streaming, because we were trying to figure out like what categories to stream in and all this other stuff. And I was like, who are these people? And I was like looking at people who had like similar numbers to us and whatever. And then I was like, what is this shit? And I was like, this is not like their tagline is that they're creating the next MMO. There's only 2 of them. They've been making it for years.
Well, and what would get me is like every time I
It's
would look
crazy.
at the stream, like they would never show any game dev, and then there was like generally sometimes a code editor up, and a lot of the time it was like fairly generic looking web dev JavaScript code. And then I would like check back in 2 weeks later and it would be exactly the same file, kind of on the same lines, like didn't really look like much had been changed.
Yep.
If you would just like sit and watch, like
Copy
would never do anything. I'm just gonna like scroll up and down the file a little bit, maybe change a variable name every like 5-10 minutes, like,
and then take a break.
read some comments. Yeah, I take a break, like eat some food, eat some slop, you know, like it just put like AFK on the stream for like 45 minutes and not be there. Like it's bizarre. I don't know. We were out there like trying to like make connections and meet people in the community and like find other cool devs and stuff. And I was just like, I don't understand what's happening here. And then started actually meeting cool people who are doing real shit. And like one day it just kind of like happened to come up and everybody was like, wait, I've been obsessed with this too. And I don't know, we just have kind of talked about it every once in a while since. So
the thing that we know about them from like looking into their history is that they were a duo and there was another person who was on camera and like outspoken, and that dude is still involved, but he did a lot of damage to the community by being just aggressive and negative and like shit talking people, but they'd never made anything. And that was when they did Fortnite, and then they hard pivoted away from Fortnite content creation to we're making the next MMO. And as someone who's been making games for a long time and worked on like huge games as a service, everything that they said, I was like, this is insane. Like nothing they're saying is real, and you can't do it with 2 people.
And there's like there's been like Q&A videos and stuff, like Adder saying something about how like when he because like there's one girl Migs who's like on stream generally, and she's the one, you know, effectively doing nothing like we're talking about.
Yep.
And then there's like they talk about how the other guy is like the main coder and he's the genius and he has the vision and stuff, but like she'll even say in the videos like, you know, he's really busy, so like I can slack him and like sometimes he'll help me if he has time, but like he, you know, I gotta leave him alone so he can be in the other room, never on camera, never around, so to like work on this game that doesn't exist. I don't know,
It's all very sussy. I think that's the
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but just every single time I've tried, it's like it doesn't seem like the entire thing is what they say that it is.
I
Or
get
maybe it's
really
delusional, I don't know.
skeptical even when there's, so I look at stuff like WildStar, right, which was kind of like the last really good MMO that could have had a chance, but nobody played it, and WildStar went out of business, and you know, all that shit exploded. That was a huge team, huge effort, good game, nobody cared. So when there's like 2 people who've never shipped a game before talking about making the next world-changing MMO, I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about in the first place. So then I immediately go, what's the fucking scam here? You know, like, what are they trying to do? And so that was one of the reasons.
And then just like as you go down the rabbit hole too, like you can join their Discord and you can kind of like start looking around and just like seeing what's happened in the past. And like there will be times where like people will just kind of come in and be like, hey, like, can I see your project? And they'll get like very aggressive about like, we'll show it to you when it's ready, stop asking, blah blah blah. And it's like,
straight up ignore you.
like people who don't even know. It's like they're not
you.
actually trying to harass them or anything. They legitimately are just wondering. It's just like I don't fucking know. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly, Graham. Another crazy thing is if you look at their wish list for stuff that they want for the business, it's like a fucking straightening iron for your hair, a new mattress, you know, like
An iPad, like
general shit for life. And it's like, you don't need any of this for game dev. Like, if we ever did a wish list, which I imagine we probably wouldn't because it's weird, being like, hey, buy me thing, community, please. we wouldn't put a fucking mattress on there, or like, you know, curling iron or something. I don't even know. It's really fucking weird stuff on there.
If I needed a mattress, I probably wouldn't be streaming on Twitch right now to get
yeah, for real. For fucking real. Like that's so anyway, I see all of these little things adding up to this is fake shit. I don't know what their scam is or how they're surviving or how they even make money. I don't get it. I do not understand. There's no value. The stream is very boring. You know, for all appearances, they're not making anything real. So yeah, dude, Firefall. No, I chose not to mention Firefall because I knew people that worked on Firefall and I knew people that worked on WildStar and like worked with them at Bungie. And so I specifically didn't mention Firefall because I thought it had like a really interesting premise, but the execution of Firefall was really bad. So yeah, Tony, you're getting washed, bro. She straight up said on stream, please look at our wish list. I need a mattress, and basically said she's sleeping on a cot and is visibly wearing the same clothes every day. It's wild. Yeah. Yeah, Adder's not wrong. Yeah, no, exactly, Graham. And this is like years in the making. We're not trying to shit talk. It's just more like, what is this? To their
credit, I've seen things that exist that they made that have been on a stream on video like once or twice more recently than have ever existed before. They don't look like something that you've been working on for like 5 years that you've been like holding real close to your chest and are finally ready to show to the world. But it's the closest thing to like something real that they've ever put on the screen since we've been paying attention. So I don't know.
LFQ, do you want me to grow my hair out and get a perm so that I have the fucking broccoli hair, dude? You want me to do it?
Mydrong, what do you want to talk about with Fable? We kind of talked about how Fable got announced and looked interesting like a week or two ago, and I know there's been a little bit more discussion around about it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly, Graham. And that's the, you know, I just want to be like, guys, like, just fucking make something. You probably have skills to make something real. Don't start from an absurd standpoint and like say you're gonna make the next world-changing MMO. It's crazy. Like, just do something real. You're putting in a lot of effort to do something not real.
Yeah. The thing that starts happening for me is like I kind of start getting mad about the fact that like they're definitely taking some people for a ride, and like I don't know. I can't really imagine why people would want to be involved in the community like in the same way that they are in our community or Boom's community or, you know, any of the other cool people that, you know, we hang out with and that come and hang out in here, like Brightside or something. But there are people, and I think they're kind of just like maybe don't know any better or something. And I don't know. It feels like it's like should almost be against the rules. Like Twitch needs to like at a point almost be like, you guys are just kind of like lying and making things up and using it to get people to give you money, which I guess is the point of streaming. I don't know.
Dude,
I miss mentally on this a lot. So.
I missed this whole message, Tony. Sushi Fu says, reminds me of that one kid who's on a vendetta shit talk UE5. You mean Threat Interactive?
Oh, fuck that guy. Yeah.
Dude, that guy's got some crazy videos.
He was crying recently because he says everybody's being mean to him, and
he started the fight with professionals who've been doing what he claims to be an expert at for like 25 years.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just trying to like make everybody do better, and everybody's like, no, you're just like causing drama and talking shit.
He's rage baiting and engagement baiting. That's all of his content is designed around a specific release like cadence. He's literally baiting to get numbers to be a YouTuber. He's not doing anything else. It's crazy.
Yeah, Graham, and that's also against Twitch TOS. Like, he could probably get shut down for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, you cannot be doing rerun. You have to be live.
You have to tell people it's a rerun if you do it, and yeah, that's bad. Give me 300K and I can fix Unreal. Wild. Did he actually say that shit, Sushi? I believe it. I believe it.
I bet you Epic spends that much on Unreal. I want to say every day, legitimately.
Yeah,
like, I paused because I'm like, is that realistic? Like, legitimately, that might go into Unreal development every single day of a year. Yeah. $300,000, like probably more, honestly. Yeah.
Dude, my drawing, like real talk, you said, I'll just say that I hate that my first thought when I see a visually good looking game is I hope it doesn't suck. I've literally told Adder that. I'm like, dude, you got me very excited for Mortal Shell 2. I really hope it doesn't suck. Because, like, I want it to be good, you know? Adder's the homie, and, like, everything I've seen so far for what they put together is fucking fire. And, like, I want to get hands on it, and then I want to be like, oh man, this feels good, and then I'll play it and I'll be happy with the experience. So I feel you.
Just talking about Fable, I've definitely played a lot of the Fable games all the way through, and I remember really enjoying them. They definitely had their downsides, but overall, pretty fun game. And then they've talked about what they're doing with this new one, and the headline that I saw that a lot of people were talking about is that they're getting rid of the fact that like you'll grow horns or like get glowing tattoos on yourself if you're a mage, or you'll look like angelic if you're super good and stuff like that. Like they're getting rid of all of that in the new one because they want the morality system to like be more dynamic and based on character relationships. But like, I don't know. Only reason I'm bringing this up is because, again, I played those games and remember them fondly, but didn't really remember too many specifics about them until I started reading all of this discussion. And like, I do remember like that system being really fucking cool, and like your character would age over time, and like things that would happen would actually change your appearance. And it was absolutely the first game to like really lean into it like that. So it's a little sad that that's not going to come back, but I'm fairly interested in this new one because I do remember enjoying the old ones, but I'm also skeptical that it's going to be good. So
my potentially weird take on Fable is that it wasn't deep enough. And, you know, sure, I'm the type of player who enjoys Tarkov and Armored Core. And, you know, I like very difficult, challenging games with a high skill ceiling. And that was always what made me like, you know, fall out of playing Fable. Was I was just like, man, that's it. I just got to do this one thing. And then I was like, I'm kind of like losing the desire to keep playing this game.
It definitely had like, you could go into town and start killing guards and they would just infinitely respawn off camera, and you could just stand in the middle and just like infinite XP, infinite money, whatever. And that would be a super evil thing to do, but that was an option. And I don't know, it had a lot of cool secrets and things that you could unlock over time and like kind of immersive sim type shit going on. But I definitely understand what you mean too. So it kind of seems like maybe they're trying to say like, we want to be able to take it deeper in the ways that you're talking about, but remains to be seen.
Adder's completely right with it's because all the VC bros can judge the game on visuals alone because none of them are gamers, sadly. That's what Highguard is, guys. The visuals are good. I'm just gonna say it. I think it's a competent aesthetic. They clearly put all their resources into visuals. The game design's doing nothing innovative. I think the game design's very tired.
What was the label? It was ArtStation, the front page of the game.
Yes,
somebody called it. Which I think that lines up with what you're saying, which is like the front page of ArtStation is like really solid art, a little generic, but kind of the stuff that the industry is looking for and people who are doing it competently. And that's exactly what this is. Yep.
Mydrong, what is I don't understand this. We have an ML at YouTube that can filter out what we call unoriginal live
machine learning for identifying reruns.
Interesting, dude. Yeah, if that's it, that's really fucking cool. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. I've seen that stream too. My understanding is that the girl is learning C++ networking and network security, started working on server side of things for text and voice chat. It's boring and not much talk and idling a lot. So syntax, I think the weird thing is what they're choosing to work on.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how to code, and I'm gonna build World of Warcraft. Like, I hope they do it. It's an insane thing to do, and I don't think you're gonna learn as quickly by doing it that way. But yeah.
Yeah, seeing something on the screen is the only thing that translates, not the actual underlying mechanics and gameplay, which is hard to quantify. I was having a conversation with a friend about Highguard, and I was like, I can watch a game and get a very good sense of whether or not the game is good, but that's only because I'm a game designer and I've been doing it for a long time. So I think most people who are, even from casual to hardcore gamers, it's very difficult to understand the quality of a game and the nature of the gameplay experience unless you actually get hands-on. And I totally agree with that. I get like a certain way with my opinion, and then I go, I need to play it to really know. I was like that with Marathon. I talked about it a bunch. And after playing it, so before playing it, I was like maybe a 3 out of 10. mild interest but skepticism, and I thought it was going to be bad. And then after I played it, I moved up to like, probably a 5 or a 6. I was like, this has some good meat to it. It just needs more time in the oven and it'll be better. But I didn't know that until I played it myself. And then I was like, this actually feels pretty good. And it's got some good juice in there for a good game. So, we'll find out, like I said, not next week, but in a month from next week, we'll find out and we can stop speculating at like what the game is. I'm assuming you're asking me directly, my drawing, if I like something like Skyrim. So I've been pretty outspoken about how I don't like Bethesda games. I find it bothersome that people, celebrate the quirks, which are just bugs and a unpolished, unfinished experience. I hate that about Bethesda games. I really do. And I personally very much dislike Fallout. That's not to say that anyone who likes those things or enjoys them is wrong. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. It just does not fit for me. I don't get it. I don't fuck with it. I think it's really whack. It's just my opinion.
VC bros means venture capital. It's like people who invest in businesses to make money.
Yeah, those are people who their job is to grow money. So they look at something, and since 2020, there was a lot of interest in the games industry. That's why we have this boom that occurred, and now we're experiencing a period of austerity because the numbers don't look so good. All the VCs are pulling their money and putting it into AI.
And it's everything we talk about. It's, I gave your company X amount of dollars to make your game because you told me that it was going to make money, and now I have some say in what you do because I effectively own a portion of your business, and I think that you need to do XYZ. And at some point, if they've given enough money, they can win that argument. And
and I would go even farther to say it's not just the VC bros that are problematic. When you look at Highguard, like I was saying, to me, it seems like a bunch of producers got together. There are people who are experienced at the business of making video games, and those people have too much power in the industry right now. You get people who are like, oh, we're going to hire this executive or this, C-level whatever from this major brand like Nike or Coca-Cola and bring them in, and they're going to turn us into a global entertainment superpower. And it doesn't fucking work because none of those business people understand. So this makes me happy because I know it means that there's a discernment that gamers have. Good game first always succeeds. And, that's what I want to do. I want to make good games first. And so I'm scared that if these corporate guys, the MBAs, are correct in their assessments, and they're just going to beat us, and we're only going to get corpo slop, in AAA gaming forever. I'm glad that gamers reject that shit and buy stuff like Schedule 1 and Pal World. Like, good game first is the most important thing. And the AAAs are starting to fumble, and you see Concord explode. We have potential controversy over Marathon. We see Highguard. Like, these guys have so much more like power behind their effort than indies do. It's a crazy amount of effort that they have, and like support and the ability to succeed, minimizing the risk and the chance of failure, but they're making the wrong calls on what they should be making, their creation, right? The decision-making process is just broken for them because they don't understand what games are. So that's why I, talk shit about those guys a lot. I want them out. They're helpful, but they need to not have power. They need to have like 30% of the power. You need engineering and design and art. That is the most important shit. Those guys need to be way at the top. I think art has a little too much power, but art is really important. It's hard for me to say they need less power. I think art can make or break a game, oftentimes. So they're very, very important to include. What's up, Hater Cyber? Yo, thank you for the disco pup. I appreciate it. I'm assuming you got a gifted sub because I didn't see you sub yourself, but yeah, welcome. Skyrim was the only game I actually enjoyed from Bethesda. Could never get into Fallout. Reminds me of when I was making Grimstar and talking to VC after VC after VC, and they were all the exact same and had no idea what they were actually talking about. I have such a distaste for those people. Yes. Suchi, that's why we're doing this. I spent probably the first year before we started live streaming talking to those people, trying to get deals, going into pitch meetings, chatting with a bunch of different people, getting feedback on pitch decks, all of that shit. None of them understood any of that. It was all about the story that I share the most is we were talking with Meta about making VR stuff, and we got into high-level pitch meetings. We were going to potentially get a deal or connected with someone who could help us pen something, whatever. But the person we were talking to, you know, the gatekeeper, and I don't say this in like a derogatory way, it's literally that person's job is to vet this person before they move them on to someone who's going to sign a deal, whatever, right? This entity. The person we spoke with was like, I've got probably 150 VR projects just baking right now that are really, really, really good. We have way too much investment in that. If you can pitch me something AR, I can get you work, guaranteed. And I was like, I don't want to fucking make AR. Like Tony and I talked about it. I was like, this fucking sucks, dude. We want to make shit that we want to make. So I was like, I don't know. We could try to crowdfund, and we went this route. And for what it's worth, it's working. Like, you guys have sustained operations costs for us, which is great. So that's why we're not asking for a fucking mattress, you know? Like, we can pay our bills. We're in a position where we can do that. But business bills are all expense that you don't get back until you put something in the market and generate revenue, which we're not doing yet. So you guys help us break even and get a little bit of stack in the company bank account so that we can buy new tools, get another license, you know, expand Perforce if we need to, something like that, right? So it's very, very helpful.
We like never spend it, but it's built up to a point now where like if we need to spend it on something, it's not like a really painful decision like it used to be. Yeah. Like, you know, if we wanted to spend $15 a month on something before, it was like, that's gonna probably make everything pretty close to going negative, but we'll see what happens. And luckily we're not really like that anymore, but it's because we don't spend it also. Like, we're just kind of sitting on it.
Yep.
You know, go to things that matter. You know, we have like Envato Elements. That one's pretty expensive. Yeah, a couple things like that. But
Envato Elements was a really good example. We talked about that probably for like 2 days before we pulled the trigger on buying the license for it to use. But it's been very valuable, and it helps us a lot. And
we haven't been getting our money's worth lately, but it's because we need to be making videos. When I'm editing YouTube videos and stuff, I'm constantly going in there for things. So.
Yeah, and we've had a couple people come through to help us with that stuff. You know, we had anime figurines, we had you know, Queen of Content. It turned out that like we still had to put too much effort into it, so it just didn't work very well. We still need help with social media stuff. It'll help the business grow. So, you know, we have plans for those things, but we have to make them. You know, I say we, but it's really Tony. Tony's very good at editing. You know, I just yap and I try to.
I kind of been getting dread to the point where like these guys can just like make cool shit, and then I might start, you know, working on trailers and devlogs and all that fun stuff.
Turning Cog, I think I'm Vince Clortho, the keymaster of Gozer. Are you the gatekeeper? I think that's the line you were looking for. On past projects, our VC pitches were entirely different than our game publisher pitches. Totally different audiences. Yes, that was another one of the most frustrating things is I had to tailor the pitch to every individual I was talking to. And so sometimes you would get feedback and they'd be like, I don't like this because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's kind of dumb feedback. I don't want that. Like, you're not going to give me money. So, you know, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the feedback, but I'm going to throw some of it away because I know that that person's just not saying the right kind of feedback for what I need to make it better. So anyway. Yes, Tony's right. VC pitches, all buzzwords, no technicals. Flashy imagery, video. If they can play a game for 30 seconds, that's usually good too. And it has
like
to
I know in like web dev, like there's a period of time where like you just had to say like Web3 or crypto or, you know, and then it turned into AI. And before that, it was like real time was big for a while there when that was like a new thing in like web apps and stuff, and native mobile or like hybrid. Like there's always these like hot topics that the investors are like, effectively they're just like, if they hear the word, they become interested. And I'm imagining games like for a period it was like live service, and now it's probably like, I don't even know. What's the VC hotness now, Adder? There might not even be one right now because of the way things are going.
Blockchain Web3 shit. Like that's all I hear. There was a dude I talked to who was a hedge fund manager that I met. I actually met him at the gym. And, you know, I talked to him about a bunch of different stuff, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm totally willing to help you. I got to tell you that any of the things you're talking about won't work well. He's like, but if you can give me a product that includes, you know, Web3 or blockchain, he's like, I can introduce you to probably like 150 different people that'll give you money. And I'm like, I don't want to do fucking blockchain video games, man. What the fuck?
So yeah, I'd imagine like the new hotness right now is probably like short form content and like, I don't know, like all sorts of AI type stuff. Absolutely. And I don't even really know.
Adder's totally right.
Right now.
Adder's totally right. The VCs are pretty much out of entertainment software. Like they're just not there. And so that's why you see
the thing is in these meetings
jobs.
though, like you just want them to give you money and kind of cross your fingers that they'll stay as uninvolved as possible in your project. So you're just kind of trying to tell them what they want to hear. So like, I don't know. It's one of those things that are like, you know, we can get Web3 in there and you're just like, yeah, we'll talk about it. And sometimes that's all they need to hear. So
LFQ says, I don't think I could be in a pitch like that. If someone asked me to integrate Web3, I'd shoot it back to them, asking them to define Web3. I mean, but you can't do that because then you want to. It's a weird dance.
People ask so that they give you money. Like,
it's a really weird dance, and they're judging you based on how you talk to them.
Yep,
that's a huge part of it. It's almost like the words don't really matter. Like Tony was saying, you use the right buzzwords.
Yep,
and they're already in. And then they're judging you as a person.
And you probably need to be kind of subservient to them because they want to be in charge and they want to know that they'll be able to, you know, hold onto your leash and make you do what they say. Like, it's all just part of the game. And you have to just know going in that you're going to make them think that and then hopefully not let them have too much control. Like, you got to know. So.
For you guys, if you're seeking any of this stuff and you get to later stages, when you get to the point that you've got paperwork in front of you and you're going to sign a deal, do not sign it immediately.
Never.
Check with a lawyer. Get some red lines. Bring it back to them. That's like the final round of negotiation, and that shit can still fall apart.
Also, never take the first offer because generally, like, if you took the first offer, sometimes they'll take it back. They'll be like, "You're not even going to negotiate." Like, they pass. Like,
they'll be like, "You're not business savvy enough."
You're that desperate. Like, that makes me a little worried. Like, I'm not even going to entertain this anymore. Like, you got to play the game. Like. If they come at you with a number, they're expecting you to come back like way too high so that they can meet you in the middle. Like that, it's literally part of the courtship ritual that you have to do. And if you don't do it, you will be weird to them and they will start second guessing even being involved with you.
And the worst part is it's not even done after that. You have like quarterly investor meetings where you have to justify what money you've spent, and then they'll tell you what they think you should spend it on. And you have to listen to them. And there's only so many times that you can be like, yeah, of course we're going to do that. And you don't do it until they get really fucking mad. And then they start, threatening to like scuttle the deal and shit like that, rug pull you. And it's a shitty dance. I like this a lot more. Yes, of course, we don't have the money we need to build the games we want to build, but we're autonomous. We can do what we want to do. And we
could also like walk away tomorrow and like, that would be kind of shitty to you guys. Sorry, especially LFQ, because I would say, he's our biggest VC. And, but like, we wouldn't be legally in debt to anybody.
Right.
We wouldn't be on the hook to produce a product that we don't want to make or aren't capable of making. Like, it's a great place to be. Like 100% of the profits from the investments we get to keep. We don't have to get back to anybody. Aside from
you made him sad. Hold on, we're not doing that.
No, we're never going to do that. I'm just saying, like,
this is a dream for us. So
in an alternate reality, though, where we went to a VC and we got them to give us money, like, we can't stop now. They could sue us. They could take our house away.
Literally, you could lose your fucking house if you don't do the deal right, and they will fuck you.
We're not in that position. I'd never want to be. So it's entirely on purpose. So.
Yeah, and Adder's totally right. It's a couple $100. It's not cheap, but it's a couple $100 to get an IP lawyer to review shit, but it is worth it every time.
My favorite saying of 2026 is buy once, cry once. And it applies to so many things in life. Like, just spend the money that you're supposed to spend on something one time, and it will probably save you from spending a bunch of unnecessary money on a similar thing like 8 times.
So this is at a much smaller scale, but when I was working at Topgolf, they had like boilerplate, NDA non-compete shit that they sent me. And as I read through it myself with not a firm understanding of legalese, but I understand words. And so I was reading through it and I'm like, this is extremely limiting. I won't be able to do anything with Fractal Grove for at least a year after I leave the company, and I absolutely cannot do anything while there. So I was in like 4 months of negotiations with like the CTO and the fucking manager for my branch of a massive global corporation. And like, I was just like, guys, you know, I'm respectfully, I can't sign this. And like, you know, we had a lot of talks back and forth. And one of the things the CTO threw at me, he's very, very nice. I like, this is the weird part. They seem very friendly and really nice, but he was trying to fuck me over. He was like, man, he's like, I don't know why we got to involve lawyers in this. He's like, back in my day, you know, in the Valley, we would just, you know, handshake and a man's word was like everything. And I go, hey, I really appreciate, you know, I wish we could do the deal that way. I'm in a physically different location and I'm one guy, and you're representing a corporation with tens of thousands of employees with a legal team on retainer. Like, I have to make sure I don't screw myself. And I was like, so, you know, if you guys are cool with it, I'm going to take this to my lawyer and have them take, you know, look it over and make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid to screw myself. And they were like, hey, fair enough. I really appreciate that. But that was a test. That was 100% a test. He was trying
anybody
to
who
get me to
says no,
sign
you
that.
can't do that. It's like, okay, I'm not going to sign it then. Especially if they're like, no, you can't do that. No fucking shot.
That's what I said. I was like, guys, I cannot sign this. And I was like, this would cause, you know, material harm to my personal interests and business. Like, I cannot do it. And so they heard that and they were like, okay. But, you know, the general manager was not happy with me. He did not like that because I was putting a spotlight on him. I was putting a spotlight on, like, why did they fucking hire this guy? Like, all kinds of other shit. So there was a bit of grumpiness in my time there. But yeah,
one of the things, like, the more somebody wants you to sign something, the more skeptical you should be about actually signing it.
Yeah.
Make sure you do your due diligence.
And I'm not faulting them in any way. They were protecting the business interests. He was doing a fucking good job of keeping his, you know, his studio running well and efficiently without, you know, so I was creating some waves for him because he's got a bunch of other shit that he had to deal with. Then he has to deal with an employee of an employee that is, you know, causing a potential legal problem with them. One of the benefits I had was the, you know, my boss, the creative director, and his boss, the project director, both loved me. And they were like, let me know what we can do to help you. Because this is kind of fucked up. Like, we knew you had this thing going before we even hired you. And like, we got your back. And I was like, thank you guys so much. So like, all of this that I'm saying, I don't want to paint this company in a negative light. Topgolf.
No, that's actually the ideal way that you want them to handle it, honestly.
It was one of the coolest fucking jobs I had. I loved working with everyone there. You know, I left to go work on Return to Moria. And, you know, I felt bad, but it was in my best interests. And, you know, for what it's worth, like, my boss was like, dude, if it's just money, he's like, I can probably get you money. Like, I can get you a huge raise, whatever you need. I want to keep you. And I was like, respectfully, I'm going to be a design lead on some very new shit, and I'm very excited about it. And he's like, I can't argue a dream, you know? And I was like, bro, I love you. You're fucking amazing. Thank you for this. Like, they did not try to fuck me, like, overtly. You know what I mean? They didn't strong arm me. They didn't do anything, like, real scummy and terrible. They respected me, and they gave me space to protect my own interests. And yeah, I would highly vouch for working for Topgolf as a company. It was sick. Very positive company culture too. I think it was nice because they were outside of the games industry, right? They had this like burgeoning software department that they were trying to like break into to do more stuff. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was neat because they didn't need to do that at all. Like, not by any stretch. So I don't know. I would recommend, if you guys are considering working at Topgolf, even at like a venue, just being on staff, the culture was fucking good. Really, really, really good. So yeah, I understand words, Vince. Yeah, exactly, dude. I've literally said shit like that in meetings with lawyers. You guys are funny. I mean, like, I'm glad you guys know that I'm me. I'm just like, you know, I don't do the polished, like, fucking corpo speak shit. I'm a real person, and I can't say fake shit. It's just my instinct, and the words that come out of my mouth are truthful all the time. It's like literally how I feel. So I don't know. I'm an open book. It's bad for social politics, but It is what it is.
What do you want to do? We're 12:30. I'm kind of just gonna probably keep doing what I'm doing right now. So like we can keep going if you want to, but if you want to get off, then we can also wrap it up and go raid somebody.
Yeah. How are you guys feeling, chat? You guys want to hear me yap some more about nonsense? Should we raid somebody? We could do that too. I like going over a little
Boom,
bit.
We got Stevie. We got on. We got Brightside. Shit, we haven't raided Brightside in a while.
We should raid Brightside.
I'm down to raid Brightside because I need to get Turning Cog in Perforce, and I can't do that on stream.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Turning Cog. If you've got some time, let's chat after stream. Oh, LFQ has a question for you, Tony. I'm gonna start setting up the raid.
What you got? So LFQ, I don't know if it might have been on the Thursday stream, which is the one that I know you aren't usually as around for, but I had brought what I was building here before to the smarter people in our community and kind of asked them if I was doing it right, how to do it better. Trying to just kind of show the comparison here with the block out. So this is the new modular version that you're seeing, and then I originally had this kind of block out version here that you can kind of see is like predominantly lined up with the new version. But this is all just a single big mesh, and each of the floors is kind of a separate mesh like that. The walls are separate from the floors. Ultimately not the way that I want to be doing it for a variety of reasons that were explained to me, but like one of them is that like if the character was over here on the building, you don't need to load almost any of this stuff because you can't see it. But when it's all one big giant mesh that's singular, it has to stay loaded, and that would be less performant. This system's also really nice and like flexible and modular in that since this is all built on a grid, one, it all just fits together really nicely and kind of snaps together like Lego pieces. But ultimately later, once I start to develop art assets, as long as I fit them into the same boundaries of these existing meshes, then I can just kind of like swap these out with things that look a little more like finished. So the idea would be that like, you know, later these can be like nice windows with glass and, you know, materials and everything. And it, again, as long as the mesh that gets put in ultimately kind of fits within the boundaries of this grid, then it'll all just kind of keep working. And there's a bunch of other reasoning too that got explained to me, but that is kind of the main thing. So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start the raid, but not send you guys over immediately. Brightside just got a spammer in chat, so let's bully that spammer, guys, and show him some love. We love Brightside; he's great.
Yep.
Also, hey guys, tell him he got first today and congratulate him on that. I think that'll be great. That'll piss him off. Rub the cat backwards, as Turning Cog likes to say. All right, guys, take it easy. We love you.
You guys are awesome.
So much.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 2 to 4 Mountain Time.